The DCEU is dead. Long
Finally.
live.
Oh.
Well, long live DC. Death to the DCEU. And during the era of the DCEU, I had another phrase. I had another name for it, and I would like to go back to that now. I referred to it as the DCFU.
Yeah.
Because there were many times throughout the history of the DCEU, which we'll be getting into, where I felt like they were giving me and all the rest of us a giant middle finger.
The runaround.
So what we're going to be doing is we are going to take a look at the totality of the history of the DC films to this point. And when I say DC films, I specifically mean from the Man of Steel film on. So whether you want to call that the Snyderverse, whether you want to call that the DCEU, whatever your phrase is, that's what we're going to be looking at. We are going to be ranking them. So, Tyler, what's that face?
That was a scary. That was a scary. It's ready. I have it ready.
We are going to be ranking them as well. So, for anybody that is especially interested in our thoughts on all of the DC films, that's what we're going to be getting into today. Thank you for joining us live. We appreciate you. We've got Kale here.
What's up, hot dogs?
Marco.
Reporting live from heaven.
Wearing black. Marco and I, we understood the assignment. We got our black on.
I'm ready.
And Marco wasn't even here on Thursday.
That's right. I listen back and I do my homework, listeners. I almost said kids.
I understood the assignment. I said I wasn't going to wear black because this is a celebration for me.
You did say that. That's fair.
I'm showing up to the funeral with party poppers and.
You doing poppers, bro? Yo,
you doing poppers at the funeral?
Funeral.
Dude, back shots here.
Can I also say that I like this is just for myself. You guys don't even get to see what shirt I'm wearing, but I realized today that I don't have a single DC shirt at all.
Oh no,
I don't.
I have one Batman shirt.
Dude, I gotta up my game. What am I doing?
I have a ton of Vertigo shirts.
Oh yeah, man.
I got my Civil War shirt.
Hell yeah, dude.
You inside of you picking the what's the Confederates and the Redcoats, which is wrong on multiple levels.
Yeah, hey, in the Civil War, which is famously about are you going to be on the Confederates or the Redcoats?
Hey, MP, you're totally right, and we're definitely going to be digging into that. But I don't know if you know this, you won the book, The Dark Knight Returns, from the book club that we just did. So if you want to claim that, just message me on Discord if you have it. And if you don't, that's fine. You can just email us at the contact at the Comics Pals. But however it is you get to me, just get to me, and then we'll sort that all out. All right. The DCEU.
Quickly, before we start, can I say my favorite comment that will really sum up this conversation for me, at least, and it's a real reason I'm glad we have the chat these days.
Okay.
Amin Perez says, "R.I.P. Bozo." That does it for me.
Clean.
I'm curious, who's the bozo in this instance? Just the whole DCFU.
Yeah, it's gotta be the whole thing. Yeah.
Right.
It's just that opening crawl with Swamp Thing that shows up there for no reason.
Hey, Swamp Thing was good. We doing the TV shows because that's top tier.
Oh, hell no. All right. So the DCEU was built on the back of Christopher Nolan. It was built on the back of the success of the Dark Knight series. Notably, they wanted Christopher Nolan to continue. They wanted a fourth film. He did not want to make a fourth film, and so he didn't do that. They wanted him to have some involvement in the future of DC, and I think because of the relationship that Nolan has with Warner Brothers, that is, I guess, remained tumultuous or became tumultuous later on. At this point in time, that was a relationship that was very important to all parties. And so I think to appease them, to make some money, Christopher Nolan agreed to be a producer on whatever was going to come next. And that would ultimately materialize as Man of Steel, a Zack Snyder directed, Christopher Nolan produced superhero film that released in the year 2013. June 10th, 2013 was when all of this kicked off. And Zack Snyder had a different vision for what a DC universe should look like. And I'm not fully sure at this point in time whether or not, and I don't think this is the case, the idea was always for Zack to plot out an entire universe. I think they wanted to make a good movie and take it from there. And Man of Steel was the first at bat. So here's the way we're going to do it. As we talk about the film, I want to rank them. So Tyler, if you're ready for that, if that works for you.
It does, yeah. Let me
Okay.
just get us to the right thing here, and yeah.
Awesome. So a lot of people don't like Man of Steel, but quite a few people went to watch it. It had a budget of $225 to $258 million. It made $668 million at the box office. That's not bad. That's pretty good, especially considering that Superman had like a string of bad movies. Not
Yes,
one,
that's right.
not two, but a few.
2006 was that last one, right?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
How much did that one make? Do we know? Or
I don't.
okay.
Pull that up.
And that was Superman's return. It's called Superman Returns to film after over 2 decades,
Probably
almost.
2, yeah.
Yeah. So that movie was a disappointment to many, and by that movie I refer to Superman Returns. Man of Steel, I think, in my opinion, was responsible for it was the attempt to bring Superman back into the mainstream. And well, it's a divisive film, and I'm sure that as the opening film to our discussion and our ranking, it will be quite divisive. I will not start the ranking proceedings. First question: has everybody here seen this movie?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Marco, how do you rank Man of Steel? Keep in mind, before you answer, it's your personal feelings, of course, but we are only ranking DCEU films. So everything is being ranked within the context of this box.
Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, my question was, is it a rank of how good of a movie it is or how good of it is in the DCEU?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in this box.
Okay.
From what I remember of it, I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember the excitement and going to the theater and still feeling that excitement. I don't think I was at a point in my readership nor in my like film critique to really be like, this is bad. So I remember this and feeling this, if not an A, like a solid B. So that's what I'd put it. I'd put it at a B plus. And someone would have to make the argument for why it's not an A.
So I remember this movie viscerally. I remember I saw this with a couple friends, and that getting out of the theater, I was angry. Because the trailer, the first Man of Steel trailer is one of the best comic book movie trailers of all time. And then once I was done with Man of Steel, I was like, wow, what a complete misunderstanding of the character. I don't like the color grading of it, which then proceeds to exist up until Aquaman, I think, throughout these DCU movies. I think they make some really strange decisions with Pa Kent and the climactic scene that don't seem to align with how I view Superman. And I find the movie to be just shot strangely. Like just everything is hectic. There's multiple mass casualty incidences that are caused by Superman. I don't like this movie at all. So Marco, I'm not even going to argue this as an A. I'm putting this as like a C.
I want to just quickly jump in and say that when we are unclear about where something ought to go, if there's some kind of like discrepancy, we'll go to the listeners. Go ahead, Gil.
Yeah, I hate this movie. When at the end when Superman kills Zod, I like blacked out and had to like get out of the theater, and I genuinely had like a breakdown, and it was like it was it was like somebody filmed a movie. See if you can follow me here. It was like somebody filmed a movie where Superman killed somebody, and I could not handle it. I remember enjoying the film up to that point, but for me, I'm with Tyler. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of the character and what the character wants to do. But I think up to that point, I think I was enjoying it. Like I don't think it was necessarily a bad movie. That said, I haven't seen it since 2013. So C to me.
To that last point on the killing part, I remember that was the part that excited me because I didn't know enough about the character, and it was coming from that place of edginess of just like, damn, they're really doing something different with this character. Wow. And at that point, I had this vision of Superman as, being a Boy Scout. I didn't have enough reading or context for him, and it felt antithetical to the character in an interesting way. To which now I feel like I regret that, but
One thing to add too is I've never rewatched it. It soured me that bad where like I've never gotten back to it. Even if it was on like TV back when I had TV, and I flicked through the channels and I saw it, I would just go to the next channel.
So maybe to the surprise of nobody, I really, really, really liked Man of Steel when I first saw it. I thought it was great, and I still love it. I don't have a problem with Superman killing Zod. I think that was a logical thing to do. And I think that it's sort of I don't really know what people think Superman was supposed to do in that moment, but to me, Zack Snyder put Superman in a position where he had to choose. And I think the movie was about him choosing this new, I mean, it wasn't new anymore, but this love that he has for Earth and humanity and wanting to preserve it and protect it versus, the people that are his people, the Kryptonians, and having them be able to exist. He has to choose one or the other. And he chose Earth, and I really like that. I got no problem with it. I had a lot of fun with this. I would say for me, this is a B. Strong B.
Strong B. Strong
Two B's and two C's.
Two B's, two C's. B, C. Okay.
What's it going to be, listeners? Man of Steel. Man of Steel, we've got two B's, two C's. We turn to you to help us break this tie. Where do we rank Man of Steel?
Marco, can you throw a poll up there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's good.
And we can discuss a bit while the poll's going on.
Yeah, and we had a few people put in some B's and then quickly pull back after a few. Like, wait, hold on a second. Actually, the conversation there, maybe not it.
So while we were for this poll, the nerd in me is instinctively wanting to debate the end of this movie.
I don't want to.
I know, which I'm trying not to. Yeah,
I haven't seen it. Like I said, I left the theater after the thing happened, so I still haven't seen the end of it.
The thing is what I want to debate. Yeah.
So I couldn't tell you clearly what it.
We got primarily C's in the chat. I see one B.
Wow.
Primarily C's.
Yeah, in my opinion, there's like two more movies that can be D here. Like I wouldn't consider Man of Steel the worst DCEU movie.
Yeah, for me, for me in this, I'm saving D for the stuff that's like objectively bad.
Keely Chow. Keely Chow, new name that I've not seen before in the chat. Welcome. Thank you for commenting and hanging out with us. Which is worse? Superman snapping Zod's neck in the DCEU or Batman giving up on Gotham and its people in the Arrowverse? I think one of those things, and only one of them, is purely antithetical to the character, and that's the Batman one. I don't think that Superman is fundamentally above killing a non-human if it is absolutely necessary, and I truly believe in that scenario it was. So to me, yeah, Gotham. I don't think Batman would ever turn his back on Gotham.
Wow. Okay. The quickly the chat has decided it is a C tier, 90%, and it's only been up like 15 seconds. So I think that's definitive at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So we move on from Man of Steel, which, despite the fact that it was a very divisive movie, as I mentioned, it made $668 million, which is a pretty nice haul. We're talking 2013. This is before the massive, overtaking of Hollywood that superheroes would go on to do. Yes, this is absolutely post Avengers, post Dark Knight and everything like that. But we still aren't for sure that superheroes have taken over. So Man of Steel, though, does more than well enough to warrant future entries. And by this point, DC is full steam ahead on the Zack Snyder train. And it's not just Zack. It's Zack. It's his wife, Deborah. It's Charles Roven. It's this whole group that Zack Snyder sort of worked with throughout this entire process to bring the DCEU to life. By Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, which released in March 25th, 2016, by now, Zack Snyder has a plan. And that plan involves introducing Batman and Wonder Woman and the Flash into the DCEU through Batman vs. Superman, which originally was supposed to simply be a sequel to Man of Steel. And then go on to, do the Justice League thing. So what I don't know if a lot of people know about this movie is, like I said, it was supposed to be simply Man of Steel 2 and was not initially including Batman. What happened was Zack Snyder and Warner Brothers felt that they needed to respond to the backlash that Man of Steel garnered. It did well, but this wasn't necessarily the beginning of the Marvel Cinematic Universe levels of excitement and enthusiasm. So they needed something. So if you'll notice, Batman versus Superman is not called Man of Steel 2 because they felt that having Batman in the title would help sell the film. And when they fight Doomsday, they fight him in like an abandoned area of, on the outskirts of Gotham and shit. Specifically because so many people were angry about the way in which Man of Steel had so many casualties.
I saw my tweets. Okay.
Fun fact, that's also why Age of Ultron takes place in a fucking airport. Or not Age of Ultron, rather, Civil War. And that's why the movie is built around, all the collateral damage and stuff like that. Anyway, Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice would release and go on to make $874 million on a budget between $250 and $325. I would jack that up. I don't believe that's the budget. I think it's more. But be that as it may, what are our thoughts on Batman versus Superman? I assume we've all seen it, right?
Nope.
Kale hasn't seen it. I've seen this movie many times. I love this movie. I hated it the first time I saw it. But I watched the Ultimate Edition, and I think the Ultimate Edition is much better. It's a movie that is far from flawless, but I really love Ben Affleck's Batman. I think that he is one of the better Batmen that we've had, and this was the best version of that Batman outside of Zack Snyder's Justice League. The Doomsday fight is cool, and I think there's a lot of stuff under the hood of this movie that I don't think people were interested in seeing. I'll say that. A lot of people made a decision about their feelings on whatever they think Zack Snyder's philosophies are, and by the time Batman vs Superman came out, they were uninterested. Not to say that this is a movie that everyone should love, but I like. So I give this movie a B plus.
Sean, this tier that I have has the theatrical and the ultimate version as separate movies.
Oh.
I don't know if you want to do that.
Well,
I've only seen theatrical, so.
All right, yeah, sure. I guess we can do that. The theatrical version, I would give C.
Marco, have you seen the ultimate version?
That one I haven't. No, I've only seen the
All right,
regular.
I'm going to put
theatrical.
ultimate in B just because Sean's the only one who's seen it.
Oh, you're putting
you
that
get
one in
full
B,
control
Sean?
there.
The ultimate version,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, okay.
The main
Okay,
version
but I
is
So Batman vs Superman, it's I enjoy Snyder's Watchmen. I think it's a flawed movie, but I find it enjoyable. I think it actually has style to it. I then see Snyder do Batman, and I'm not sure I want a Batman by somebody who's a fan of Ayn Rand. I think that philosophy and worldview works better for something like Watchmen. So seeing this the Batfleck version of Batman, I will say costume. I do like the costume a lot. But I wasn't a fan of the portrayal of this Batman. And I'm also a big fan of like Batman Forever and stuff. So maybe my flavor of Batman is just not what this movie is. So yeah, I was not a fan of that. I think this movie tried to put too much into one movie. It was like, all right, Marvel's doing it. We're behind schedule. We need to do everything now. Here's Wonder Woman. I think Cyborg shows up in this too. Am I right?
Briefly.
Doesn't like his origin happen in this at least?
I think. I don't. It's been a while.
No, isn't that in Justice League?
It's been a while. I don't remember. These two kind of blend for me. Wonder Woman shows up. The whole Doomsday thing. Lex is in this as well.
Oh, Jesse Eisenberg,
who I once followed on the subway for multiple stops, just to see if I could. Never mind. We don't need to talk about that. And and I just feel like there's just way too many plates spinning and all of them crash down and shatter at the end.
I do remember this as being a wait. So where's that fit for you, Tyler?
I'd probably be a C. So I might for theatrical. I'm probably with Sean on this.
Okay. Yeah. I think I'd put it there. I remember it being in the theater, and I had gotten to a late show, and I definitely fell asleep at some point. And once that happens to me with a movie, I'm like, oh, I'm not having a good time. That's happened to me for Eternals. That's happened to me for, not most recently. Whatever it might be. One of the Shazam movies, that's right.
Shazam 2, you're the only one who saw it. So.
Yeah. And, but I remember some of the characters just not feeling right. Gal Gadot, 100%. Love, right? Jesse Eisenberg, I don't think it fit. Ben Affleck, I did like his Batman, but I think ultimately the way that they positioned them in fighting against each other, obviously the mom's name became a bit, and I think a lot of the aftermath left a bad taste in my mouth in retrospect. But I didn't have as much fun, and I was hopeful for the movie, but I did not have as much fun as I ended up thought I would be. So yeah, solid C tier.
I totally forgot about the Martha thing.
Yeah. Martha. Like, bro, what?
So similar to Man of Steel, the trailers for this movie were absolutely fantastic. And I knew from the get-go that I wouldn't want to see it. And they almost had me. I remember being on the subway and going, I might have to fucking see this movie. And then I heard that Doomsday was going to be in it. And I said, actually, nah, you know what? You're all right. Y'all have fun.
Because and I forget the Doomsday bit. Like they also try to do Death of Superman in this movie at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's too much. It's way too much.
Yeah, it's certainly an overstuffed movie that didn't need to be this way. I think had Warner and Snyder not overreacted to the feelings about Man of Steel 1, we could have just gotten to Man of Steel 2. They could have refined what didn't work in the first one and kept trucking. The lack of belief in any vision, like, okay, fine. Anyone doesn't like Zack Snyder, that's cool. Whatever. They handed him the keys.
Yeah.
So they handed him the keys, and then they immediately said, whoa, we got to not have you doing whatever it is that you want to do. And I don't think that that was wise. And I'm not saying that he's absolved by any means. They should have just made Man of Steel 2. Wonder Woman being in this movie is largely unnecessary, although I had fun with her appearance. It's probably my favorite Wonder Woman appearance. Maybe
when her theme hits in this movie, I will say the Wonder Woman theme slaps.
And
cool.
she kicks ass. I really, really enjoyed Wonder Woman here. But
he,
go ahead.
As you're talking about the Wonder Woman part, even like Superman and Batman are confused why she's there. Like in the movie, they're like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "Yeah, we feel the same way, buddy."
Yeah. Gavin says, but that's the DCU ethos from here on out, Sean. What are you referring to exactly?
Hard pivots after every movie.
Ah, yes. Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely room to say that. Well, let's talk about the next movie. So from Batman vs. Superman, we got Suicide Squad, which dropped just a few months later, August 5th, 2016. We're still, well, I don't know if you guys are, but I'm still waiting for that Ayer cut. Just kidding. I actually don't give a fuck about that.
That's right.
You just got in a video game though.
Wait, you mean the video game that features the Suicide Squad, the superhero team that's more popular than the Justice League, even though the Justice League has existed for 60 years?
The ones that, murder the Justice League?
The one that sold more than Justice League.
So, the movie that made more than Justice League, the movie that was absolutely reviled, which we will get to.
Oh, Academy Award winning, right?
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
For that alone, easy Academy Award.
Costuming, right? Was it costuming? Mark?
It was like costume or makeup.
That's
right.
Makeup. It was makeup. Man, that was Killer Croc didn't even look that good.
Kel, remember in the, was it the 70s or the 80s when the Suicide Squad had a show called Super Suicide Squad and everybody loved it? And remember that?
Well, they had those the two kids, you remember, that hung out with the Super Suicide Squad,
Harley and Quinn.
That was much better. That was a much better joke than where I was gonna go.
Yeah, that's why I steamrolled you. I knew it was good.
Well, Suicide Squad plays off of Batman versus Superman by introducing a need for a government sponsored group of villains in the absence and the death of Superman. And so Amanda Waller puts together a ragtag, hot topic, 2000s throwback group, which is just the vibe of this entire movie, quite frankly, to go on a mission to do stuff.
Do stuff.
I really, really do not like this movie. This is the first time where I was like, whoa, I don't know if I give a fuck about what's going on in this universe.
Enchantress being the ultimate bad, right?
That was horrible.
Could anyone do a plot breakdown in this movie? Because I cannot.
Yes.
I don't remember.
I can do a very light one. Enchantress does bad things. They must stop her. That's as much as I can give you.
So the Suicide Squad is put together. Enchantress has some weird shit going on with her. There's a mother box involved. She's possessed, and I think she's doing the will, if I remember correctly, of the mother box. They stop her. Meanwhile, the Joker's trying to get Harley back, I think. And it's a dumb movie. I don't I don't know. There's not, for me personally, there's not a whole lot of redeeming value. I think I really liked Katana.
Mm.
She was cool. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Will Smith.
Oh, that's
I
right.
wish he
character
wasn't. I
actor.
wish he wasn't Deadshot, or I wish he wasn't playing Will Smith as Deadshot. You know, I wish he would actually play the character. But like, I genuinely thought he was good.
And Margot Robbie as Harley,
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
an iconic role.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, like
She,
that's
she was the best part.
the
Absolutely.
breakout star of this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I think that's the only real thing we got out of this whole deal.
should we just put it in C and move on? Like,
I would say
No,
D.
I think it's a
D.
D. Yeah, I feel like it's a
D.
D as well. Yeah.
This
All right,
might be the
yeah.
worst of the movies.
absolutely fine with that.
Um,
I was going to be generous about it.
This is where I was saving D for.
I didn't mention this had a budget of $175 million and a box office of $749 million. So for what it's worth, that's a pretty good turnaround on a movie that I don't really think has too many fans.
Yeah, I feel like there was an excitement for a lot of these movies that over the course of time quickly diminished.
Yeah.
Do you
This
think
movie did a lot for that?
Yeah.
Sean, what year was this? 2016 as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Was that the year Guardians came out?
I don't know.
No, that came out while I was in Scotland, so that would have been 2013 or 14. Yeah.
Yeah.
14.
14.
Okay.
14.
So you think this was DC's attempt to do that kind of movie, I guess.
I don't think so. I think Suicide Squad is when you look at what the feel and vibe of the DCEU was, I think the Suicide Squad makes a ton of sense. It gives you access to Amanda Waller, who would go on to be, pivotal. It gives you access to Harley Quinn, who's pivotal. It allowed them to do a Joker movie without Batman in it. So I think it makes sense independent of Guardians.
Okay.
Real quick before we move on, I do also want to say that this is a movie that suffered a lot from indecision and Warner and producers and executives going over people's heads. Behind David Ayer's back, they commissioned a trailer from a trailer house. And it is, I mean, they're weird. They're not necessarily bad. I think those trailers are what brought people into the film, but they don't reflect exactly what David Ayer wanted to do with it. And I don't like this movie at all, but I do think that sucks. I think it sucks when a movie that you were told you would get to direct gets ripped from your hands. It made a lot of changes.
Even in the first 20 minutes or whatever, you get 2 introduction sequences to various characters, both in like regular film introductions, and then you get weird title cards again after it, and it was just baffling.
Why would you go to a trailer company to direct a movie? It's so bizarre. But that's the end of the story on the first Suicide Squad. Will we ever see the Ayer cut? No.
Fingers crossed.
We have a new Suicide Squad right now that has its own TV show spinoff. So I
Yeah.
think they've given up on that one.
So from there, we go on to 2017's Wonder Woman.
Ooh.
Wonder Woman, which came out on June 2nd, had a budget of $149 million and made $824 million. So we're clearly like in the era of superheroes. This is it. These movies are making a ton of money. It almost doesn't even matter what you put out. If it's got a hero on its face, it's going to make some bread. Not to say that Wonder Woman is the beneficiary of that in totality. I don't think that's why people want to see the movie. Wonder Woman is, of course, an iconic character that people adore. This is her immediate next appearance after Batman vs. Superman. People were very interested in seeing what would happen. They went and grabbed Patty Jenkins. They brought her on board to make this film. I believe this was her first big sort of blockbuster film.
Yeah.
And by all accounts, she did a good job. To some people, but what do we think?
I think
this
it
is
was
go.
no, Marco, go ahead. Go ahead.
This is the first S tier. If we're looking at the totality of just the DCEU stuff, I think there's only 2 S tier movies in this entire selection.
Oh man, that's 2 more than I will give you.
If we're looking at the whole of the DCFU, I think that this one, and then there's one other one that sits at S tier. And I will grant that the back half of this movie, the third act, is disappointing. For what was the buildup of a great film. But yeah, that Ares fight, man, took me out of a lot. But I like the vision and I like the idea. And so I'm gonna give it an S.
Marco's the type to eat at a restaurant and there's hair in his food, but he'll still give it 5 stars.
Whoa! I'm like, hey, sorry, there's like a little thing here.
Or the type to read a book like Dark Knight Returns and says, "Yeah, it's all right."
Yeah, not bad,
Well, he's the only fan of Onslaught. So
good.
what
Book,
are we expecting here?
Good book.
Not true. I actually like that too, but I wasn't.
I
on the show
love
at that point,
Onslaught.
so.
Wow, I give Wonder Woman a C. I really, 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 really did not enjoy this. I thought it was boring. I fell asleep, which is actually not that uncommon for me, or it used to not be. I really love Gal Gadot. Um, I was just enchanted by her. I really love the spirit that she brought to the character Wonder Woman. It really reminded me a lot of the Greg Rucka stuff.
Mm.
But I couldn't get over I don't like period pieces. I thought the movie had interesting things to say, but I don't think that it said them. And I think that the back half is just, or the third act is just bizarre. So I would
Yeah.
say a C.
Did we see this together?
Yeah,
we did. Yeah.
You didn't wake him up, Cal?
I think we were in actually a packed theater. I think was it Marco and I sat together, or maybe it was Phil.
Yeah.
We had to split up because there were 5 of us at the time. And
It was before the assigned seats. Okay.
Yeah. I this is an A for me. I really enjoy this. I refuse to give anything in this whole oeuvre an S. But I think the first Wonder Woman is a solid enough movie. I do like period pieces. I like that it explores her origin and her, coming to the world of man and developing relationships. And I think that the scene in what is it, No Man's Land or whatever in the war, I think it's easily one of the most iconic bits in the entire DCFU. The back half though was utter dog shit. And you just you can't come back from that.
I was gunning so hard for as the movie was progressing. I'm like, I really surely they're gonna just make the idea of war just a philosophical concept. Surely they're not gonna make it.
It felt yeah.
And then fucking Ares comes out of nowhere. He's like, I'm gonna blow shit up. Oh, I'm like, oh, dude, you undermined the entirety of what just happened.
Yeah, Sean's absolutely right. It had interesting things to say, but it absolutely refused to say them. And I 100% blame that on the same issue of Suicide Squad. I genuinely think it's meddling.
I think this movie is fine. I think it's a B for me. I mean, I agree with everything you guys say regarding the latter half of it. I'm not a big Gal Gadot fan. I think she does better as Wonder Woman in other movies. I don't think she fully got the character in this one. And no offense, I really don't want to know what an ex-IDF agent wants to talk about war.
All right.
But
she didn't write.
Just saying. So I'm not the biggest Gal Gadot fan, even outside of acting. So maybe that kind of skews things a bit. But yeah, it's just I think they hampered themselves by making it a period piece. I like period pieces. I like that it's in this, but in terms of the greater DCEU, I think it's confusing because then you make the question, all right, where is she during all this? When you didn't need to, they could have easily said it during modern times, and she's leaving the mascara, right before Dawn of Justice. Like, I think they kind of wrote themselves into a hole, which then leads to 1984, which we'll talk about being even more confusing. But yeah, I think that was a weird choice.
Wow. Okay, so we are 100% split on this.
Yeah, let's have the listeners have their say. I've seen a ton of different.
So it's 8S through C, right?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, we've got the gamut here.
I'll move myself up to a B for the sake of this.
So we got. Hold on. I got me S tier. Sean B.
So it's
tier.
S, A, and B.
Oh, S, A, and B. Okay.
Actually, it should just be A and B if we even things out, but
Nah, we're gonna keep the S tier.
That's
it's not
insane.
gonna vote. I'm sorry.
Like, I don't feel like you should be able to choose the S tier yourself.
Oop,
Like,
oop. No one's gonna vote for it. Surely no one's gonna vote for it. Yeah, they're not voting for it. So
Unless Gal Gadot's in the chat. Is Gal Gadot actually Derpy Entertainment? Is that her burner? Hello, Derpy Entertainment. I haven't seen your name here before.
Want to say real quick before we continue, thank you to everybody that is watching us live right now. Super chats are open, of course. We appreciate everybody who's got a green name in the chat, everybody for showing up. But if you've got a green name, thank you. Those are our channel members. We appreciate the support. I want to see some pals heads in the chat if we can. We can throw a couple of pals heads out there. That would be wonderful. If you're watching us and you're not subscribed to our channel, please do that. We are on a mission to hit 2,000 subscribers in the first quarter of 2024. So we need an assist. We need a little help from our pals. So let's make it happen. All right. With Wonder Woman in the books, that takes us over to Justice League. Huh?
What is Wonder Woman? Did we finalize?
Oh,
something?
that's right.
it's easily A.
Well, from the poll, is it easily A?
Yeah, it's A. It's A.
Okay, everyone's voting A.
Right. Yeah, 71% A.
Okay. Yeah.
14% S tier.
Wow.
Somebody.
I wonder who.
Wasn't me. Mine's
Marco.
up here. Mine's up here.
or his brother in the chat. You got that collusion.
Recount.
All right. So Justice League is the 2017 film released November 17th, 2017. $300 million budget. It took home $661 million. And this is the movie where the cracks in the DCEU really, really, really started to show. This movie has a very long history. We could do a deep dive on just this film.
Yeah. You
Just
put
this
that in your
film?
back pocket.
Yeah. We won't get into everything. But I do think it's very important to say a few words about this film. So the first is that by this point, Warner is not loving Zack that much. They expected bigger returns. We've already, on the other side of the fence, we've already had Avengers, which was a huge success. The Iron Man movies were massive successes. Iron Man 3 made $1 billion. You had Guardians, which was a big success as a quirky film. They had done so much. I think by this point, Winter Soldier had already come out, and that was they hadn't had a movie that was beloved. They hadn't had anything like that quite yet. And they needed Justice League to be that. And so what they decided to do was to alter Zack Snyder's vision. He went into production of Justice League believing he was making 2 movies. This was during that period where, and I guess they still do it, where directors are forcing everybody to make 2 movies at once. And they were going to make 2 Justice League, the first one and the second one. And the second one was going to be Darkseid. And that's pretty obvious when you watch the first. But they didn't like that. They didn't like his vision anymore. They didn't want him to do exactly what he wanted. So they told him, you're going to make one Justice League movie. So all the things you've been doing in production for 2, you're going to condense into 1. And we're going to make this movie something that we can show and run as often as we need to get it into more showing so we can make more money off of it. So they wanted him to make the movie short. They wanted a short movie. So this movie is an hour and 20 minutes. So that's 2 hours. For comparison's sake, Aquaman, which is just one character, right, is an hour and 43 minutes.
Yikes.
Shazam is an hour and 32 minutes. So probably not the most logical choice to make. And by the way, Batman v Superman is an hour and 52 minutes. So why that would be so much longer than Justice League, the world will never know. But critically, throughout the process, while the relationship between Zack and Warner wasn't good, Zack Snyder's daughter would die by suicide. And that I don't want to be disrespectful, but I think everybody involved saw that as an easy way or a cleaner way. If that sounds horrible, that Zack left the project as a result, and I think everybody involved was cool with that. If that's what I mean to say without being disrespectful.
Yeah.
And so Warner Brothers said, hey, well, we need a new director. Who can we get? They got the architect of what worked for Marvel. They got Joss Whedon. And Joss Whedon took what Zack had already done and was given the awful job of having to, figure out what Zack's point was and rejigger the whole thing, shoot new scenes. And needless to say, it was a disaster. No one involved was happy. The actors hated being a part of it. They hate Joss Whedon to this day. Been a lot of fallout. The rest of the story, maybe we'll tell another time. I hate this movie. This version, I despise. What is the lowest possible ranking we have? D? To me, this. Yeah. I think this is the. I don't know. I hate that first Suicide Squad. This is a toss-up for worst of all of them. I think
it's bad.
Yeah.
Nobody's likable in this movie.
Nobody's likable, and nobody gets enough screen time to be able to make them likable.
When does Superman show up? An hour into the movie? Because
he was dead.
Batman vs Superman has to set that up to put them behind the 8 ball to have to bring them back in this movie.
Yeah. All bits.
We got the
movie.
At that time, this movie is such a mess and was so, they had to do reshoots and everything else. Henry Cavill, notably in real life, had a mustache.
That's right.
That he refused to shave because he was working on another project. So they had to CG off his facial hair. And if you look at those scenes, they look god awful. It's an abomination.
Yeah, easy D. This is it's a disappointment for what was supposed to be a trajectory of the of this universe, and I don't think it's a good film. It sort of falls apart. The villain is not exciting. The heroes and their play together is
Steppenwolf.
Yeah, dude.
I was gonna ask Marco if he could name the villain.
I forgot, man.
I don't know if I could name the villain.
Yeah.
Has he even showed up in a comic since? I don't even know.
But the character interactions are also just they don't mesh well. It doesn't feel cohesive, and it doesn't feel like they're bouncing off each other. It sounds like they had read a line in a situation on green screen, and then the other person was responding in that moment. So yeah,
and at this point too, Affleck is checked out of being Batman. It feels.
Yeah,
I think the writing was on the wall that his Batman probably wasn't happening at this point. Because at this point, the whole discussion, Ben Affleck's supposed to be having a Batman movie, and this doesn't do well. And there's images of him behind the scenes doing the reshoots where he just looks depressed. But that's kind of his base energy level too, I feel.
Isn't this where the cigarette and him just
I believe so.
Right?
Yeah, I believe that's where it's from. Yeah, this is just a ugly movie. None of it's fun. The end sequence is rubble the movie.
Hmm.
Um, they took that suggestion from Man of Steel and just went way in the opposite direction with it. Um, yeah, it's not good at all. And like this is like right before the Joss Whedon allegations come out too, right?
I think so.
Yeah, this is before that. Yeah.
Yeah, like really close to it. Yeah, it's just it's weird because like Joss Whedon is not the guy I would pair to actually ever try to fix Zack Snyder. They're so polar opposites when it comes to filmmaking that it makes no sense at all in this movie.
Ooh, yeah. And MP makes a good point over here in the chat. The first live action Justice League not cracking $1 billion is damning. Like that's the kind of movie you think, oh, for sure, if executed well.
Well,
Suicide Squad made more. Yeah.
to illuminate the problem with Justice League, the film, Batman vs Superman, Wonder Woman, and Suicide Squad all made more. That shouldn't happen. That's nuts. This is the first time in the history of cinema that the Justice League have formed, and it landed with a wet fart. But with a production like that, with meddling like that, the director leaves the project in the middle of not even the middle, towards the end of the project. It's just a mess. It's hard to know even where to assign blame because this was such a disaster by this point that yeah, I mean the end result proves itself. This is a garbage movie.
E for damn ass flop.
God, what an abomination. Hit the like button. We're going to spin the wheel. If you guys missed it last week, that's how we're determining the game we'll play because we've got a rotation of games now. So we're going to spin the wheel a little later. I've got fun games planned for any game that could possibly come up. We're going to have fun. So make sure that you smash that like button. I don't even know how many likes we have right now, but I think we can do what can we do? We can do 25. We can do 25.
We're at 15 at the moment. Get those numbers up, baby.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Oh, bless you.
Thank you.
Oh,
All right. Let's move forward. Next up is Aquaman.
Aquatic Boy?
So Aquaman came out December 21st, 2018. That is over a year after Justice League. So they took a break from the box office, which is, not ideal. A Flash movie was in production. Hell, we would eventually get it, down the road. But we were supposed to have a Flash movie before Aquaman, I believe. That didn't happen. Aquaman, of course, has Jason Momoa, who was, I think it's safe to say, the breakout star of the Justice League movie. Everybody loved his Aquaman. Probably the only thing that people didn't have a ton of criticism about from the first Justice League. And so we get this second one. Notably, the story was done by Jeff Johns in part, who, of course, is the person that brought Aquaman back to prominence in the comics. The movie had a budget of 160 to 200 million and raked in 1.15 billion. This is the first $1 billion film that DC had to the point.
And it's Aquaman.
And it's Aquaman. That's insane. That is insane. Go ahead.
It's a good movie. I liked it. I had fun. This was, and this was also, I feel like if I remember correctly, me being an apologist for Aquaman, because at that point I was a big fan of the character. Had been going back to read older stories, and
Oh, bless you.
thank you. And
Allergic to the DCU.
yeah, man,
Yeah.
hitting all of us. And yeah, I liked Jason Momoa. I liked the storyline. The CG, I think, had mixed results, but I was a fan because it worked. Overall, this was a solid movie for me and one that I've gone back to. So for that alone, I think is me. It's not Wonder Woman level, but it's a B. It's a good B. It's like top of B, B plus.
I think this is an A for me. I actually really like Aquaman. It did the thing that I was complaining about in all the previous movies, where it's like, hey, we can have color in this movie. It's fine. We can do that. I like how fun it is. It's just a fun movie where I feel like all the DC movies prior to this were too serious. Um, it has an octopus playing the drums.
That's right. That's a
You know,
bit.
how you wait, that took you out?
It's so
You're-
it's too silly. It's too silly.
You said you were just reading all the old Aquaman comics.
Uh,
Did
but-
you
but-
actually read them?
But it was too silly. Like in
That's
this
Aquaman though, and that's why I liked it, because it's like, oh, the DC universe is stupid sometimes, and it is cheesy. Think about the world-renowned Justice Friends cartoon show. They did goofy shit with that as well. So I think it was fine to do that, and it kind of made me excited for the movies going forward, which means they tricked me. But I actually like this. I think this is an A for me. I'm a fan of Aquaman, the first one.
I'm an A on this also. I was at the time a big fan of Jason Momoa's portrayal of Aquaman, and I felt like this was a breath of fresh air. I agree with Tyler in that it felt. I hate to say things like this because it's sort of loaded, but it felt comic booky, which is not a negative. I like
Yeah.
that fact.
Yeah.
I want these movies to feel like they're not ashamed of what they are, and Amber Heard as Mera made me sweat. So yeah,
Hey,
easy
yo.
A. Easy A.
I didn't see it, so
Okay,
the Justice League burned me out.
that's fair.
So was netting out at an A?
Yeah,
Nice.
absolutely.
Yep, I have it as an A.
A for Aquaman.
I think that's a popular consensus too. Like, I don't think that's Wonder Woman and Aquaman being on roughly the same level. I don't think that's an unpopular
Yeah.
opinion.
Dan brings up Black Manta, who was another standout. Yeah, there was a lot of good in this movie. I had a great time at the theater with this one.
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe also does some Willem Dafoe stuff in this.
Absolutely. And I think James Wan, deserves a lot of credit for directing this. Normally a horror movie director who did this, big budget superhero film and did it justice. The Trench was introduced. We got some underwater horror. That was cool. And the underwater scenes, I normally don't like that kind of stuff, but I thought they did fine. I thought it was, that all worked out fine. So Aquaman is in the books. And now we move on to Shazam, which released on April 5th, 2019, with a budget of 90 to 100 million. That is the smallest budget out of all of the movies that we have discussed to the point, and it made $367 million, which I think is also the smallest take to this point. We had Zachary Levi playing the titular Shazam. And then Asher Angel playing Billy Batson. That dynamic, I think, it works great in the comics. I feel like it didn't work as well in the movie for some reason. This was an okay time. For the purposes of this, I guess I could be swayed to a B. I don't really like this movie that much. I think I liked the family dynamic,
Sure.
but everything else was kind of whatever. The Dr. Sivana fight at the end is very generic.
A little hokey.
Yeah. And then it's not the fault of this movie, but it doesn't pay off on the end credits in the sequel, which annoyed the fuck out of me. And also, this is a ding against this movie. It doesn't have Black Adam, which, since we'll never talk about this again, I do want to make the point that Black Adam was supposed to be in this movie, but because The Rock has been attached to it for so long, he did not want to look. Fact is, he didn't want to play a villain. So he came up with the idea to make Black Adam more of like an anti-hero type of thing and introduce him in his own movie and maybe have them square off at a later point. Of course, we know that he had bigger ambitions. He wanted to shift the power dynamic. What was his phrase?
He wanted to change the hierarchy of the DC universe.
That's right.
And make Black Adam on the same level as Superman. That's what he wanted to do. Let's have Cody Rhodes ask The Rock if that happened.
Yeah, he said for this,
Yeah, back in the WWE after everything else failed. What do you guys think of Shazam?
You said, "I'm just not gonna work for me, brother."
Right.
Shazam is a fine movie. It's fine. I don't really have any strong opinions of it either direction, honestly. I think the point you bring up where Billy Batson and Shazam, um, feel like two different people rather than the same person in different ways, I think is an issue.
Hmm.
Um, I Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I don't really care about it. It's like I think a B for me, like right in the middle of everything.
Yeah, I think I'd sit with that as well. It's a B. I've had fun. The I remember feeling very frustrated by the sins. Remember, like the monster villain thing? They felt super generic.
Yes.
Very frustrated by that. But I did like enough that Levi was fun and was personable. At the very least, he made those moments a little bit more digestible, and run of the mill. Otherwise, nothing about it stood out. And I was definitely frustrated by the last fight, so definitely a B.
Boy, this was the film that really cemented for me the fact that I don't like Zachary Levi. I don't like his stupid face. I don't like his stupid voice. I don't like the way he acts.
Yeah.
I can't believe this Christmas film came out in April.
That's right.
I'm sitting here racking my brain going, I swear I saw this at Christmas. Yeah, B. I, I think as generic as it is, it's still a decently made movie. And frankly, I think it's probably more for kids than it is for people like us. And so, I mean, for that, it's hard for me to say that it's a bad film because it seems like they uh, did what they wanted to do.
Can I heart kill?
Pardon?
Never mind.
Yeah. This is Shazam. What a movie. All right. Let's move on from that disaster and talk about another. So now we move on to Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, which released on February 7th, 2020, directed by Kathy Yan. This was basically a Harley Quinn vehicle, hot off the success of Suicide Squad, which had dropped, what,
Four years ago.
4 years, yeah, 4 years earlier. So they were really hot on keeping that thing going. And it forms a version of the Birds of Prey alongside Harley Quinn. It's got Ewan McGregor playing Black Mask, which was probably the best part of the movie for me. Otherwise, I did not get much out of this. I really did not have a good time watching it. It was over the top, and I don't have much familiarity with the Birds of Prey, but this did not feel like it did them any justice. I was excited to see them. This was initially just a Birds of Prey movie. It got switched around because you're not going to get this out without Harley in it. And to me, the product is worse for it. So
This was the only movie I've ever seen in one of those 4X screenings.
Wow.
Where you get in the seats do the roller coaster stuff. And I don't know if it's Stockholm syndrome based on the torture chairs I was in, but I actually really enjoyed this film. It wasn't incredible cinema, but I went and I had a good time, and the bacon, egg, and cheese bit, it made me miss New York and my bodega, and I had a good time. This is a B for me.
And this is right before the world goes to shit too. So
Yeah.
I'll give it a C. I didn't give it a rating. C.
I really like this movie.
Did not see this one, so
Okay. I think this one has a lot of style to it. I think Margot Robbie does an amazing job. I think the rest of the cast, so Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Huntress is really fun. Rosie Perez as Renee Montoya is like a fan casting come to life.
Yeah.
She does a great job in this. It doesn't feel like Birds of Prey to me because when I think Birds of Prey, I think Gail Simone's era, like Batgirl and stuff like that. But I really like the dynamic of this team. Um, it's just it's goofy. Um, the music in it's really good. I really liked it. 2020 is like right before the world goes to shit, and probably the last time I felt happiness. So I think it's like an A for me.
A for joy.
So we've got an A, a B, and a C. Wow.
And that's
We
out
can
to a
even it
B.
out at B. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, that, yeah.
That's it's interesting. Um Hey, promiscuous time traveler, I owe you a message. I got you. Don't worry. I'll DM you after the show. Zachary Levi did something really cool for nerds everywhere by creating the company nerd headquarters. I don't even know what that is. What is that? I agree with Gavin. That this movie is another in a string of pivots. Clearly, the bloom is off the rose. Like Zack Snyder is not involved anymore. He's, thinking about the Snyder cut, and I think this is also around the time that there was a clamoring for um, more like creator voice rather than studio voice, if you will. More so at WB because of the fact that Zack Snyder had a stranglehold on all the characters, like as an individual person. And so this movie is like a direct counter to that. And I think, well, whatever. I don't care enough to talk more about this movie, quite frankly. I just didn't like it. All right. Let's move forward from Birds of Prey and talk about Wonder Woman 1984. Now, this dropped on December 25th, 2020, which of course is Christmas Day, and right smack dab in the middle of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first movie that not just DC, not just DC, but I think Warner as a studio put out on streaming service first.
Yeah.
Again, another female-led movie that was sacrificed to COVID. We also saw that happen with Black Widow, for what it's worth. And this movie, let me get the box office for you. So $200 million budget, box office of $169 million. It's actually made less than the box office or than the budget, but I don't think that's fair because of COVID. This is the least successful movie that they put out by the box office metric, but you couldn't go see it. Well, you could, but it was COVID, and then it also came out for free on streaming. So, on the merits of the movie, I had high hopes. I really, really did. I thought Patty Jenkins probably learned a lot of lessons from the first one that would be applied here. I was super hyped when I first saw that Cheetah was announced for it. Then not as hyped when I saw who was playing the character. Kristen Wiig played Cheetah. I don't know anything about her other than I think she does comedy, like some kind of comedy show on television.
The one.
You mean SNL?
Oh, I don't give a fuck about SNL. I haven't watched SNL in 20 years. I thought she was on Community, but I don't watch that either.
Oh,
no.
And yeah, I really despise the portrayal of Cheetah. And then also we had Pedro Pascal as Maxwell Lord, which is super random. And I enjoyed where the character was going, but boy, did they not stick that landing. I would give this a D.
Yeah, easy D. I would easy D, and I'd agree with Harris. F.
Yeah, I'm not even opposed to that.
Mark will give it an easy D. Must be a day that ends in Y.
Yeah, man, this was a disappointing from a. I remember in particular the fight, that final fight between Gal and friggin' Kristen Wiig. I don't even want to use her names, man. Like it was muddy. It was dark. The CG was done to obfuscate the CG and the poor production there. The storyline was dumb, and it felt like such a disappointing follow-up to what I thought was a great film. and it soured me on the potential for a future Wonder Woman movie. After this, I said, "Oh, they gave up on the character. We're not getting another. We're not getting something that will redeem this because after this, absolute flop."
Gavin brings up a really good point. Can we talk about Steve Trevor being brought back in someone else's body?
Yep.
I was going to mention that. Yeah.
Fucked up. And I normally don't care about all that, like whatever. That was so bizarre. I couldn't believe that.
I haven't seen
Kill
this
him.
movie. Tell me about this. This
So-
is the only part about this movie I have heard nothing about.
So I wanted to bring this part up actually, because this movie posits that through sheer wishful thinking and Maxwell Lord, right? He can kind of grant wishes. That was his big thing.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman is missing Steve Trevor because it's 84. He's already been gone at this point. You know, he's dead. But she does this wish that then Steve Trevor, then his mind and spirit and soul go into some random dude and he becomes Steve Trevor. And that dude had no agency. We never see who that guy is, but he just steals someone's life.
Yeah.
And
No
it's
one
like, oh, it's
questions
fine.
it.
Nope.
We don't.
It doesn't handle that.
It doesn't.
We don't see someone previously.
Nope.
Like
Nope.
I think you see like do you see mail or something?
I think you see it at the end because I think the whole movie posits that Wonder Woman sees Steve Trevor and we see Chris Pine, but in actuality, it's still that dude.
Yes.
But like, whatever. It doesn't touch it because there's so much involved in that post that.
The movie's not interested in analyzing the implications of that on any level. It's purely just a fun device to fill the movie out.
the hell.
Yo, Gavin's like, and then they bang it out in the middle of the movie.
I love the fact that you
do,
even
man.
phrased it like that. That's
Word.
hilarious.
It's this is a bad movie. It didn't help that this is on Max, and they're trying to push Max to the point like Disney Plus just started as well that year, so they're really pushing it. So I don't like seeing movies first on streaming. I get distracted easily, and I like the social contract of a movie theater that I need to pay attention to. So I took a lot of piss breaks during this. I was on my phone during this movie. This was just a boring movie. It's not good. The mall scene is cute, but that's about it. That's the only thing that I remember of this.
Oh, yeah, at the beginning, right?
Loved it.
Yeah, Kristen Wiig as Minerva is fine, not as Cheetah. It just doesn't work. Pedro Pascal, I'm a fan, but he takes some weird choices in this. And I don't necessarily know if it are his choices or it was the script's choices. It's weird, man. It's not a good movie. I give this C or D. If the consensus is D, then I'm cool with going with D.
It
Think
is.
so. Yep, D.
Dan says,
Wow.
why couldn't he just come back? Why did he have to be in someone else's body? I don't get it. I get it. You know why? Because they made the dumbass decision to put Wonder Woman in the past and center her characters in the past. That was insane. Why would you put Steve Trevor in World War I? You know you're not going to want to leave him there. You know it. You know you don't have the balls to leave him there.
And also, like, Oliver supporting cast that gets introduced in the first movie cannot be in the second one.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Candy,
All
they
of them.
she's in the first. What was that? That was crazy. Anyway. Abomination. Then we go to March 18th, 2021. And well, we're talking Zack Snyder's Justice League. It happened. We got the Snyder cut. Props to all of you who made it happen, except for those of you who were douchebags online. You can screw off. But everybody else who was respectfully asking for this, props to you. We got Zack Snyder's Justice League, a movie that was the centerpiece of a war between HBO and HBO Max. This movie could have its own deep dive. There are a lot of things I could say about this. I will not. What I will say is that HBO did not want this to happen. Warner did not want this to happen. HBO Max side of things and the executives there needed this to happen. They needed a hit for the streaming service. That is important to note. They felt that this movie would bring people on in droves. To this day, we will never know if that happened or not. But Zack Snyder took that opportunity. He shot scenes of this in his backyard, had some of the actors come for reshoots and did them in his backyard. There's a Martian Manhunter cameo, notably, that was done there. It's 4 hours, if I remember correctly, and it is split up into these different acts. So you can sort of watch it act by act if you want to break it up. I love this. I think Zack Snyder's Justice League is far superior to the original. I watched this shit 2 days in a row.
Yeah, you did.
I love it. I think it's awesome. I think it's not what I would want a Justice League movie to be. But Zack Snyder learned from the mistakes of the first iteration, which all honesty, like, that's a benefit. Had he never left the project the first time around, it wouldn't have been this good, in my opinion. I think he was able to use hindsight to make a better movie. And is it a perfect movie? No, not by any means. It probably doesn't have to be 4 hours long. That is excessive for anything. And it still doesn't have Darkseid. It still has Steppenwolf as the villain. There's a lot of things about it that are frustrating. But I personally love it, and it is the only movie out of all of these that I genuinely would put on a list like this at A, or, well, I guess I put BVS at A, but at A or S for this specific list. I think it's better than everything else here.
I think I'll meet you at A, because I remember liking the structure again. I remember there were some pensive moments. The one that always sticks out to me that I think a lot of people disagreed on was the Aquaman moment where he's walking back out. There's like all this music playing, and it was interesting concepts. And I thought that they played well within the universe of that film. Whether or not they dragged on, I think pacing was probably an issue, but otherwise, I thought it worked much better. I even after the I think we had done a watch along. I went back to watch the black and white version, and I thought that was great. That, I think, from the way that it was shot, you saw a lot of contrast and shadow, a lot of just what I thought were interesting takes and interesting perspectives from like a framing end. And yeah, this was good shit. At least for for what it is and in the context of this list. A is the highest I'll go, though.
Caleb, did you see this?
Oh yeah,
All 4 hours of it.
I genuinely don't remember any of it. We watched it. I rearranged my entire living room so that I could watch it. I couldn't stream it.
Oh yeah.
Because we don't, HBO Max isn't over here. I genuinely, I might as well be out of the conversation for this because I genuinely don't remember it.
So it goes under haven't seen because
it might as well. Like I didn't fall asleep. I know that.
For 4 hours for you?
I suffered through every second of it. I don't remember a thing.
I think this one is a good movie. It's not great. I still don't agree with the fact that I don't think it understands the characters too well, but at least it's a cohesive movie that has a POV, it has a perspective, and it has a style. I do think it's too long, but it also was supposed to be 2 movies, so whatever. I think the flash forward scenes are dumb. I think that's stupid.
Oh yeah,
especially since we're never going to get those. There's no point of having those if we're never going to get it. Like, I don't know, recredit with those out of it. I don't know. I don't have as much hate for this one as much. I think A is fine. I'm okay with A. For like a 4-hour movie, I found it watchable. Definitely watchable. It had a lot more Snyderisms that I enjoy for being Snyderisms in it, instead of Joss Whedon translated Snyderisms, which is not good. I didn't watch the black and white one because that makes no sense to me. Why don't you have the Justice League in black and white? Color theory is integral to classic superheroes. But that, again, maybe that's a Snyderism that I just don't get.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is, I'm okay with giving this an A. I'd probably give it more of a B, but I'm okay with going A.
Atomic Hound, I don't necessarily recommend that you sit through 4 hours on my word, but I really, really enjoy it. And shit, I might have to sit through 4 hours on my word. I might have to stand on my fucking word. And I would like to. I would like to. Maybe I'll get around to it. It's worth pointing out that this movie had a budget of $78 million. And that is insane because this is not a movie that was ever released in theaters. This is a movie that already, well, some amount of this already existed. So the reshoots and whatnot was $78 million. That's a lot of money. And that's one of the reasons why Warner and HBO were so angry about what this ended up being. But ultimately, sorry?
No, go finish.
Ultimately, that's the swan song of Zack Snyder as far as, DC is concerned. And we would not hear from him again. And all of the movies we'll talk about after, he didn't have involvement in from this point forward, but that doesn't mean he was never involved.
Quick shout out to Mike Elliott in the chat. Good to see you, bud.
Hey.
He says highest rating I can give it, watchable.
A B.
B.
He gave it a B.
B.
Yeah.
Marco, I saw you.
What did the polls come out to?
Yeah, I saw you put a poll up, which I thought was weird, but I'm interested to hear what.
I was curious to see as well. Yeah, it's all right. D tier, large portion D tier, 37%, but right after that, B tier, 31. We got some A's and we got some C's. Okay, not too bad.
So our consensus is A. I think that's where it nets out to.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I'm not going to argue that.
Huge discrepancy between us and the audience. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So moving forward to Suicide Squad 2021, which is the second film to be released under the pandemic era for DC. It is actually the 10th film in the totality of the DCEU. And it's the first involvement of James Gunn as anything in the DC on the DC side of things. This released on August 5th, 2021, with a budget of $185 million and a box office of $168 million. So didn't do very well at all. But a lot more people like it than the first one.
This is my other S tier film. This was so much fun. This had a lot of interesting characters. I thought Peacemaker was great and complicated. The POV we provided is it's an interesting take, and the way that it builds up more and more into the ultimate Starro, I thought was great. It surpassed any expectation that I had, and I a lot of these pieces were in the the trailers, but I think what really sold it for me were the character interactions, were like how they ultimately came together to fight these villains, to fight the ultimate bad, and the twist, sort of the stuff at the end, I thought provided heart, and I was surprised that I felt away, and I was getting emotions pulled out of me, which surprised me.
I think this thing did a lot of great things, honestly. The box office is hard to tell this one because of the world at the time. Like, I remember seeing this in theaters, but I had to like make an effort to like prep for it, and my theater was empty because there was nobody in it. But I think this thing does, I think it's unapologetically a comic book movie. Choosing to secretly do Starro at the end, I was like, whoa, that is wild. They decided to do that. And it felt like one of the first like DC movies that put character before plot. Like, the plot's straightforward. They're stopping a coup or aiding a coup, essentially. But like, there's a lot of quiet character scenes, like with Ratcatcher. Like, I never expected to care for Ratcatcher 2 or Polka Dot Man, getting his whole backstory. And then like, people die in this. There are stakes involved there. We're like, Suicide Squad. Who dies? One person? The original Slipknot, I think.
Maybe.
There's a couple.
And then like a couple. Yeah, like El Diablo maybe or something. But so there's like stakes here because it makes you care about the characters before they kill them. So you're like,
Not always.
Man, wait, what? And
What's his face? Wasn't the guy that gets pulled apart? Nathan Fillion's role gets
Oh
killed, I
yeah,
think.
yeah, and I like that it did that too. The
Yeah, yeah.
opening, where it's just like, all right, let's show these characters through our press and the media. It's like, all right, here's this huge cast of characters we're doing, and
Yes.
half of them were dead at the beginning. I thought that was great.
What's his name?
Um,
From SNL.
Pete Davidson,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
nemesis. Fuck
yeah.
that guy.
So you know Pete Davidson from SNL, but not Kristen Wiig. Never mind. All right. And yeah, I think this is super fun, and I think it shows that at least Warner also cared about this movie a lot and cared what James Gunn was doing because A, it's the only one to actually get a TV spinoff with Peacemaker,
Deserved.
which is also a great show. And B, it was the intro to James Gunn to DC, which then gave him the keys to the future of what we're getting. So I think it's a
Well,
really important movie.
I think the part about it getting a show is just due to a different era in media because there weren't shows. There was no HBO Max before.
Sure, but like Wonder Woman didn't, Birds of Prey didn't, even though I think there was rumors that Birds of Prey
There
maybe
was
doing
no
spinoffs.
Max when Birds of Prey came out, and I don't know what would have been the way in for Wonder Woman. I think spinning out of Suicide Squad makes perfect sense. I don't know if it makes sense anywhere else. I don't like this movie very much, not as much as most people do. I didn't like Starro. I thought that was completely dumb. I thought it was too over the top. The Harley Quinn sequence where she's like running around with all the like whatever that was, the unicorns and shit,
Oh, like the
the
flowers in the
flowers.
background.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was not for me.
yeah. Mm.
Um, and sometimes I don't like what James Gunn does. I feel like sometimes he goes too far in one direction, and that's when I get turned off. And this was like peak James Gunn for me in the sense that it does some things I really love, but it also does some things that I really, really don't love. For the sake of this, I would say we could give this I would be comfortable with an A, but in my personal feelings, I would say closer to a B minus.
Uh, I said
Caleb,
S.
I would say S too, just to fill that out. I can't think of anything else though that would go there in my opinion.
Of all the films I would give an S, it would be this one.
S tier, baby. Slap that
Again,
baby on.
again, though, I'm not comfortable giving any of these films an S, but easy A for this. For me, this is the best movie of all of them.
So wait, is this a poll between A and S?
Sure, why not?
Slap that baby on. Give me 1 second.
So Sean, you bring up like it's a very James Gunn movie, and I agree because like Guardians of the Galaxy is a James Gunn movie, but this feels much more like Slither or Super, and I kind of like it for that. It felt like they really gave him the reins. They're like, hey, the Suicide Squad, or rather Suicide Squad, did not do too well. Do whatever you want with this. Have fun. We trust you. And it was also a bit of a fu to Marvel too for letting him go. So I just think they really just let him free roam, and I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, yeah. I think the way that they allowed him to just like for almost free reign, helped to also usurp expectations because, I felt like I had a certain idea of what it was going to come into from the Guardians movies, and so at that point, Guardians 2 had come out a few years back. I wasn't hot on that, and so I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. Like I'm excited about the potential for some of these new characters and some of these new actors, in particular because of some of the high profile people that they got. But I like the swerve, and that immediately hooked me in. I'm like, oh, cool. Actually, we're leaning hard into what made the first one a lot of fun for me in terms of the Guardians movie, and then he's gonna go out because it's gonna be a little bit more mature. You can swear, you can kill, you can do crazier things that I think played into Gunn's wackiness.
All right, let's move on and talk about Black Adam. This is when the hierarchy of the DCEU was supposed to change. I don't know if that actually happened. Ask Dwayne Johnson, who played the titular character and had a heavy hand in what this movie could and couldn't be. So notably, oh well, before I say that, it had a budget of 190 to 260 million dollars and a box office haul of 393.5 million, which is not amazing. But in the post-COVID era of film, that's decent because a lot of movies we see the box office plummet for a lot of franchises and things like that post-COVID. So, um, this movie features the Justice Society sort of as the antagonists for Black Adam, although they're presented as the heroes of the overall story. And, it's Black Adam defending Kondak from invaders and, you know, having to fight the JSA while they try to recruit him. And will he be an ally in the battle against from good and evil, or will he be, an enemy? And that's kind of the framing of the movie. And this is probably, other than Justice League, the most disappointing movie for me because I thought, after watching it, I thought, wow, this could have been great. This really could have been amazing. There are some very, very, very interesting things set up here. I think the version of Black Adam that they choose to go with is compelling, and they could have done a lot more to analyze the how much do superheroes really understand the problems of the world? They understand how to deal with a dark side or a brainiac or whatever, but what do they know about terror? What do they know about foot to ground, day to day violence and horror? And how do they deal with that? And is Black Adam really wrong because he's in the trenches dealing with stuff that they don't see? I think that was cool, but they didn't go that route. They don't actually have the depth of an analysis. What I will give the movie, though, is that the action is some of the best I've ever seen in a superhero movie, and the costumes are amazing. Dr. Fate, holy shit. Come on. Pierce Brosnan, and he just looks the part, and it's amazing. The helmet, forget it.
I really like the JSA in this movie. I thought that was really fun. Atom Smasher and Hawkman looked amazing in this, which is two words I never thought I would say together. I think that had a lot of potential. I think The Rock is, in my opinion, it's not Black Adam, it's The Rock in the movie. It's The Rock with superpowers, which I guess in a way is what Black Adam's become. I have more of a history with the character, so it doesn't really feel like Black Adam to me. And then knowing all the behind the scenes stuff, that kind of taints my view of this movie. And being a wrestling fan, like this is just The Rock for me. And also it has the most annoying kid character in any movie I've seen in a long time. That kid in this movie annoyed the hell out of me. I think this is this might be a C for me. I don't feel like I could say a D fully, but it's a C. I think it's more watchable than some of the D's we put on this list.
Oh, this is straight D for me. This film is out of an entirely different era. Like if we'd gotten this in 2002, we would have been thrilled.
The Madam Web of DC.
Yeah, like it just like I absolutely agree with everything Sean said. And I think this movie is an utter failure because it didn't stick the landing for any of it. It didn't, it didn't even make Black Adam question any of it. And then you have The Rock of it all, and it just, this movie is ass.
Not to mention Henry Cavill at the end too.
For what? Yeah.
For the purposes of this list, I would give it a C, but outside of the confines of the DCEU, I would give it a D.
Yeah, it's kind of where I am, Sean. Yeah, these things are on a curve for me.
Yeah. So what is that
Marco,
next to?
I think that would go to a C. Marco, have you seen it?
No.
Okay.
No? Okay.
So let's see.
So yeah, I'll put it in C.
All right. Now, so the first of all of these movies that I simply did not watch. We move on to Shazam, Fury of the Gods, which was released March 17th, 2023. We are very close to the end here. This had a budget of 110 to 125 million dollars and a box office of 134 million dollars. So that is really bad. That's really bad.
I still posit that this movie suffered from the sins of all the movies prior. This was fun, great characters. I thought the dynamics that were explored towards the tail end of the first Shazam movie were continued and grew. Like there was time in between that made things compelling. There was a moment I teared up and like almost cried from the character interactions. And I'm so unhappy that people didn't come back to this film to give Shazam a shot, because I think it does really good work. The end fighting sequence, once you start getting into, you know, like the big splashy stuff, people throwing fists, that's where I fell asleep. But woke back up, the movie wrapped up pretty clean, and it became a lesson about Barry, about how he feels like he was stuck in, or rather Billy, how he feels like he was stuck and how he needed to grow beyond feeling alone and feeling like he needed to be able to move forward while losing the people that he loves, and not losing them in like they're dying, but losing them because as you grow, people might grow apart, but it doesn't mean that they don't still love you, that they don't still care, and you can't still have and form those relationships. Yeah, this was solid A, dude.
Get the fuck out of here.
Solid
bro.
A.
There's no chance in hell. Go to the audience. There's no fucking way.
You're just gonna deny my fucking opinion?
There's no way.
Exactly. The only opinion on this podcast, I would say.
Let me clarify this. I didn't see this film. But as soon as Marco started talking about it, I reflexively picked up my phone and started flipping through it.
Oh, fuck, dude.
So I don't know what that says.
I'm going to present a counterpoint. I'm going to present a counterpoint without even having seen this movie. So the first Shazam movie clearly and cleanly sets up the future with that little fucking bug. What's his name? Mr. Mind or whatever?
Mr. Mind.
Yeah. Mr. Mind and Savannah and all that. Oh, and by the way, there's a character called Black Adam who is Shazam's actual antagonist. And who the fuck is in that movie? They got the fucking octogenarians. They got the horticulture women from Jonathan Hickman's X-Men to moonlight as the villains for Shazam for some strange reason that to this day I don't understand.
I'm not going to let you talk about Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu like that. That's just rude.
Lucy Liu, no. Lucy Liu is not an octogenarian. I'm talking about the presentation of those characters that are nameless in terms of having any history in DC Comics. These movies do not need new characters. You don't have to invent new characters when there's a wealth of villains and enemies that you could use. This movie's an abomination, and I didn't even see it.
Get
a poll up, Marco.
Here's the thing, though. If Marco's the only one who saw it, rules state that Marco would have the opinion, I think.
Well,
I don't agree with
what?
it, but this is
3 out of 4 disagree. It ain't going down like that.
Yeah, no chance in hell.
I don't want to break the rules just because,
especially if he's trying to put it in A.
All right, let's see. We're gonna.
My man couldn't even summarize it without me picking up my phone. It's not happening.
That's not my fault.
Can you name the villains?
Of course not.
That's not a fair point.
I do have an issue with Marco. You saying you fell asleep in a movie and you're still giving it an A. Like, I think your scale's a little skewed.
I want to say the Hendrik Perry goes, someday I hope to channel member. Thank you very much. Someday I hope I can express my bad opinions as eloquently as Marco can. I don't know, guys. I'm seeing a lot of A's in the chat.
You fucker.
A lot of.
I didn't even see it. You fucker.
It's a rig pull.
I can't.
I don't know. Promiscuous time traveler. That was Marco's minute. That was me taking over for a hot second.
This is what happens when Marco gets power, though.
Listen. Can we make an executive decision right now? Can we
It's still tiered.
No. Can we either disqualify this movie or throw that fucker in D and call it a day? Because Marco,
I don't think you go in.
There was just.
I think C is fine. D. I think I'd have to see the movie and hate it for it to go in D.
Dude, look at the chat.
Well, okay, I can't have I'm only on one screen right now.
There's a few lower D. Yo, chill,
Yeah,
Roboters.
lower D. Dan Trudeau said this comment encapsulates this movie. The last third is an astounding pile of garbage. How could an astounding
Okay.
pile of garbage be an A?
That's the part I fell asleep on, so I don't remember it.
Yeah. Okay.
Marco. I
D it
don't mean
is.
as an offense, but I think I trust Dan more than I trust Marco.
I'm gonna
Hell
close the
yeah.
poll. Let's see where it nets out. Hold on. Drum roll, please. Wait. Let's see. Ooh, 66% A, 33% A, and then we got 2 zeros for A.
Do you hear yourself?
Huh?
You sound like the Fawn stuttering.
Hey, you sound like a massive A to me.
Can we move on? Can we throw this thing in D or C and just please?
Yeah, sure. Let's get to a good movie.
No.
Hound says C. Let's put it in C.
Okay, sure. Hound rules. I'm with
I already
that.
put it in D. Sorry, I'm not going back to it. I only got one screen right now.
All right.
Fair enough. Tyler rules, I guess. I'm with that too. The Flash is our next movie. 2023, June 16th, my birthday. Otherwise known as the day that DC decided to fuck me. You know why? Because I had to go watch this piece of shit.
Uh-huh.
It had a budget of 220 to 220 million, a box office of 271 million. That is a disappointment. And so is the rest of this movie. And if I could just jump on my soapbox for a minute. There was a point in time at which we actually could have had a Grant Morrison written Flash movie. That was happening. This film was in development hell for about 10 years. It had various directors, producers, writers, all of that. And The Flash is a character with a rich history. Many people love The Flash, a beloved character who absolutely should have had a movie before, I don't know, Shazam or the fucking Suicide Squad. But that didn't happen. We got the movie. Okay, it's 2023. It's June 16th. It's my birthday. I'm sitting down in that theater. And you know what I got? I got a movie that, for some reason, is trying to tie together a whole DC universe that won't exist in 6 months. Includes the worst CG I have ever seen in a superhero movie. Those Speed Force scenes are abominable. And
I was thinking about the microwave baby.
Yeah,
that was god awful too.
Oh, yeah,
I will
right.
never believe the words of Andy Muschietti, who I believe is the director, who said that that was deliberate. That wasn't fucking deliberate. You ran out of money. With a budget like that, you cannot produce the kind of movie that they tried to produce. And the cream of the crop, the end sequence, where we see all the different iterations of various Supermen and things of that nature throughout the multiverse. And they show us Nicolas Cage's version of Superman that wasn't even Nicolas Cage.
That's right.
And the absolutely disrespectful, and I'm normally not the guy for this, but I believe it was disrespectful, the Christopher Reeve aspect. By all accounts, he would not have wanted it. That's what I have read. And I believe it was his own family that has said that. So I will say a big F you to The Flash. And I will give it a D. And if there was an F, I'd give it a fucking F.
I think we should make an F.
I think we should make an F. That's the bottom of D at the best.
It'd have to be a spiritual F because I can't edit.
No, it's okay. But, you know.
I'd like to shout out two comments here. Definitely Not a Meme Pairs, another channel member. This is the movie that created the famous Sean Face meme. So we bow to this one.
That's right.
It did one good thing at least.
And then from Andre here, Ezra Miller is the greatest DC villain, an Avengers level threat.
And there were two of him. Don't forget, the gift Sean got for his birthday was that there were two Ezra Millers in this movie acting against each other. Fuck this movie. Fuck DC. Fuck Andy Muschietti. I'm not going to see Batman and Robin. You're trying to trick me again? Not gonna happen.
I didn't like this movie, Dan.
I had just rewatched Batman Returns in theaters, which made me remember how much I like Michael Keaton's Batman.
Hell
And
yeah.
now talking about this reminds me of how wasteful Michael Keaton's Batman is in this movie.
Just an absolute garbage fire of that alone. Talk about disrespectful, man. Like,
Dude, they didn't even bother to think deeply about their own film. The reason why I made that face, the face that is the meme, is because Tyler told me accurately that the movie is never at any point concerned. I believe it was Tyler that said with who killed
Yep.
Barry's mother.
Yep.
Which is the driving point of the movie.
Unreal. Anyway, fuck this movie.
What were you saying? D tier?
F.
F. Okay. I put a
Spiritual
poll
F,
up.
yeah.
Yeah, put a poll up. Give me a D or give me an F.
God. This movie makes me feel like I need to curse. Like it just makes me mad. Even more now than I was then. Ugh. All right. Let's talk about Blue Beetle.
Ooh.
I haven't seen it.
I didn't see it.
I did.
Let's make it
Okay.
quick.
I watched it for the purposes of this. I put myself through that.
Okay.
So this released on August 18th, 2023. Budget of 104 to 125 million, box office of 130. That's really bad. This movie is nothing to write home about. It's fine. I think Kale, you probably would have liked it. Tyler, I could see you liking it. It's a family movie. It has good beats and moments, but overall, the villain is Olmec, and that was bizarre. Like
Yeah.
not in a good way.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know Olmec very well. I've never really seen that concept used in the comics, but it was just a dude in a suit. And so, yeah.
Yeah,
Not too
solid
far off,
solid
to be
C, I
honest.
think.
Definitely a C.
Yeah.
Wow, the chat is actually really split.
Yeah, we got
A, B, C, B, C plus.
A solid 2004 movie. That is exactly right. I don't need to
So
say
good.
any more words about it.
That's so good. Damn, aggressively relaxing, perfect Blue Beetle movie. S, yo, chill.
Stop.
I mean,
He's,
well,
being,
hold
he's
on.
being aggressive. Yeah.
Stop. Oh yeah, that's right.
Compare it to the other Blue Beetle movies that are out, right? Like,
Fair. The one Blue Beetle movie that we got. Can I just say that in this DCFU, we got a Blue Beetle movie before a Green Lantern anything.
Nah, nah.
I will say this movie is a casualty of The Flash because The Flash took me so out of it, I did not care to see this. And also the strike was happening at the time, so I was like, all right, I'm just not going to.
And also we knew that the DCU was at an end, which I do
Yeah.
think hurt
Yeah.
it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
be fair.
That's like when a comic already announced that the end is coming and there's like a new arc with a better team. And you're
Well,
just like, all
that's-
right, I'm just going to drop off now. Yeah.
That's where we're at with the Krakoa and stuff. Like we know the future is at hand. Do we need Dead
Yeah.
X-Men #1? Anyway. C, I would say.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. And that takes us to our last film. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, which released on December 22nd, 2023, just a few weeks ago. But budget of $205 to $215 million with a box office of $413.4 million. That $413 million is actually what, $700-ish million lower than what the first one made, but is also the most successful DCEU movie since 2018.
Oof. And it was shite.
Did you see it, Marco?
No.
I didn't either. Is that the only
I
one
saw-
none of us saw? Okay, good.
I saw it. Yeah, I went to theaters
Did
for
you?
this. I have a monthly pass, so I figured, why not?
wasn't there an after credit scene with Aquaman in the Flash where he drowns in a puddle?
he passes out from drinking too much into a puddle. Yeah. This movie is not of this year. Like it feels so weird. It is not good. It is a CGI fest, and not in a good way. You can tell that Mara is edited out of this movie mostly. It almost feels like were there significant reshoots on this, Sean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It almost feels like this should have been the Mara Aquaman movie, which then became the Ocean Master Aquaman movie because of the whole Amber Heard stuff. That I don't know if that's true, but I got that feeling where it's like they almost like explicitly made you not want to look at Mara. Like she gets knocked off. Yeah, she gets knocked off pretty early. It becomes like a buddy cop brother movie. It's boring. It's boring for. Yeah, Orm is in this. He's like
okay. Yeah.
What's the question? I mean, it's Aquaman's brother.
No, the fact that it becomes like a buddy cop thing, like they join forces.
That's the majority of the movie. Yeah,
I don't like that.
And it's all about them becoming better brothers. That's the driving point of this. Black Manta is doing his best Willem Dafoe Green Goblin talking into his trident. It's weird. The final, I don't know if you've seen it on Twitter or whatever, or X, whatever. The final scene of the DCEU is in this movie, which is Orm at a fish and chips place eating a roach, or like a burger spot, because he's learning how to like the being a person of the land now. But I think it's just a good summation of the DCEU. It's like, all right, eat this roach and pretend you like it.
Yeah. And by the way, nothing could make me not want to look at Mara. I just want to point that out.
He was trying to look for you. He was looking for her in these scenes.
Whatever amount of
you and redheads, dude.
Dude, listen, come on. I'm a simple man. Whatever amount of screen time she had, I'll watch it on a loop.
There was a cool crab guy in this, but I think this is again, maybe a C. I don't. A D doesn't feel right. It's not good. No D. I'll say D.
I've seen a couple of C's in the chat. I see some D's as well. You can put it in D if that's what you feel. That's fine.
I'm putting it before Flash, though.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. And that is it for the DC films. We got through them. What was that? 15.
Yeah, it made Kel leave.
Yeah, Kel said, "I'm out of here. I'm done." And look, it made billions of dollars for Warner, right? It made stars out of characters that were not necessarily as known to people. But it did a lot of bad. I think that the Superman character is going to need rehabbed. And hopefully James Gunn can do that with what's going to come next. I think that even like Aquaman might need a little rehabbing just because he went out a drunk. Most people their last thought of him will be that Flash ending, because so many of us didn't even bother to watch Aquaman. And I think the DC brand in general was harmed significantly by this era of films. And I think it also hurts the future of the DC films, because people might carry the stench of all of this might carry over into what James Gunn and co have planned for the future.
Oh, is that what that was? I was wondering.
Everything is being set up. We've got Superman Legacy coming in 2025. So hopefully they can do a better job. Real quick, based on the DCEU that we got, what is it that needs to be done differently? Let's not make this a long talk. Just everybody, one quick thing.
Everything. I mean that honestly, though. Like I think they tried mimicking Marvel's success and trying to do it their own way. And I think you can't compare yourself to that. I think they need to have a plan and stick to it.
And I think they have a plan, and they are sticking to it, and I think that becomes the right move moving forward, to build your baseline and then build upon it, because you needed a foundation and they never had one.
Kale, you're muted. All right. I'm gonna say they need to really look at what DC is like in the comics and bring that to life. I don't think it's really complicated at all. DC comics are great. Do that.
DC has some of the most iconic, historic characters in history that people know who they are, the average person can list, at least 5 DC characters, whether they know they're DC or not. They need heart, and they need a gravitational center,
Superman.
And I think it's got to be Superman, or it won't, or this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
Amin Perez says, if the MCU was a 5 out of 5 pre-phase 4, how bad was this? I would say a 2 out of 5. I think more bad than good.
1.5. Yeah, that's fair.
Just based on our tier, it's weighed towards the end. The most is in D.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And
I will say one thing.
Yeah.
One thing that has me hopeful. They're doing Swamp Thing right off the jump.
Can't say no to that.
There you go.
I can.
That doesn't inspire hope in me, but okay, fair enough. Yeah. So long, DCEU. Thanks for the memories. I guess. It's been real. And you know what? R.I.P. And by that I mean rest in piss. So long. Bye. Bye, DC.
See ya.
EU, DCFU. And let's embrace James Gunn, Peter Safran. Hopefully they have the right idea. Hopefully Zaslav gives them the space to cook and to do their best. DC has a chance to make themselves the premier film studio for superheroes. Hopefully they take that seriously. Believe it or not, we've got more show to do. We're 2 hours into this bad boy. That took us a while, but we've got some more show. So hopefully you guys are still enjoying what we're doing and keen on hanging out with us for a little bit longer. Patreon.com/thecomicspals is where you can support us if you have enjoyed this so far. If you generally like what we do, that is the best way to show it. And we thank everybody who chooses to do that. I want to shout out, first of all, a special shout out to the best pals in the universe: Thunderstruck Rebecca Alejandro, the Hound of Justice Atomic Hound, Starcross Catherine Stars, the Night Stalker Harris Nijinsky, Brian Demolisher Del Pozo, Kefis the Incorruptible, Momentum Mike Elliott, Dan the Truth Trudeau, Joel Justice, Jalen the Sanguine Sorcerer, Marley Manistorm, Slow Flow Dameron, Amin Almighty Perez, Pete the Dream River Collins, and Christian Uncaged Harriet. Thank you all so much. You guys are fantastic. If you want your own nickname and a shout out and you want to join the Palsverse, hit up our Patreon page, join us on the I Shall Become a Pal tier, and you will get your origin, your pal's origin. Want to reiterate an announcement we made last week as far as the book club goes. We had a very successful book club this past Tuesday. The Dark Knight Returns went off without a hitch. You guys loved it. We announced that we are upping our game with the poll. So instead of us nominating books, which is how it normally is, we're going to be doing things differently. So now on patreon.com/thecomicspals, anybody with a Patreon account who is subscribed to us for completely free, you don't have to pay a dime, can nominate a book, and we will take the most nominated books and we will put them in a poll where our patrons will vote to determine the book we will be doing for the month. This month is Superman month. So if you go to patreon.com/thecomicspals right now and you subscribe for free, if that's what you choose to do, you can nominate a book in the comments and that kicks us all off. So if you want to be a part of what we choose to read for the book club, that's the way to do it. Also, 2,000 subs goal. We want to make 2,000 subs in the first quarter of 2024. You can help us do that. If you are a podcast only listener, I'm counting on you. Head on over to youtube.com/thecomicspals and just hit that subscribe button. You don't have to watch us if that's not what your bag is. You just like to listen, that's cool. But it helps us out. It costs you nothing to do. Channel members, thank you so much for being a part of it. We've got early access videos there for you. You get your green name, you get your icons in the live chat, and also we are introducing a new show called Pen Pals, where we will be reading and dissecting and discussing your questions, your comments. If there's a topic you want us to hit on, anything like that, hit us up and we will use it for the Pen Pal segment, which will
God, what a
be
name. What a
yeah,
name.
Atomic Hound, the genius. Atomic Hound, the genius. Next Saturday, we will be interviewing Philip Kennedy Johnson live on the show. Normal time, normal everything. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be talking Incredible Hulk, Superman, Green Lantern War Journal, and anything else we feel like talking about with the man. So come hang out with us for that. We want a lot of support. And I didn't actually talk to the pals about this beforehand. We can workshop this right now. Fuck it. I thought it would be cool to be able to do a giveaway. So I was thinking that for the Philip Kennedy Johnson interview, we can do a similar giveaway to the one we did with Jeff Johns, or even on the Dark Knight Returns book club where we gave away a copy of the book. I was thinking that we could give away one of these 3 books, choice of the winner. Incredible Hulk Volume 1, Green Lantern War Journal Volume 1, or Superman Action Comics War World Rising.
Yes.
And maybe not Green Lantern because that's not out yet, but
No. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Absolutely.
Love it.
cool.
Make sure to tell your
Easy.
friends.
Yeah.
At
Join
minimum, tell them to show up so they can get a free comic.
There it is.
Yeah.
They got to chat too.
Yeah. They have to chat and stuff. You guys have to chat, and you have to be able to message me or one of us on Discord to claim your prize. So be here live with us for the Philip Kennedy Johnson interview. Should be a good time. I think so. He's a great guy. The listener pick poll, let's just take a quick look at that and see where we're at. You guys can, of course, vote in that on youtube.com/thecomicspals. We've got Action Comics number 1062 on there. That's winning the poll, 55%. The Displaced number 1 at 14%. The Infernals number 1 at 9%. And Sinister Sons number 1 at 23%. So go on and vote. Don't leave us, but make sure that you get your vote in. Another tab, however you want to do it. Vote. I voted Action Comics. I love the other books, but I want to read more of that.
I did the Displaced. I wanted to see what that was about.
Sick.
Same.
Yeah. And then we need one more like, y'all, for the games at the end. We're so close. If you're in the chat and you haven't, give us a quick like. Play the games.
There you go.
Slap a thumbs up in there.
Atomic Hound says, let's go for a record number of views and likes next week. We can do it. I love that.
Let's go.
I love that. I love that. Gavin says PKJ is his homeboy. Love that guy. Yeah, we love him too. He's a great dude. All right. We've got listener comments to go to, so let's hit them. And this one is I want to make a point that this one came to us through email. And so we love to get emails. That's my favorite thing. I love YouTube comments and all that, but emails is like old school to me.
Yeah.
So you can email us at contact@thecomicspals.com. And Shane chose to email us to shit on Marco.
And I also want to make the point that this one came into our old email address.
That's right.
So, this one is from Shane from New Zealand. Hello, pals, and kia ora from New Zealand. That means hi and welcome from in Maori. Longtime listener, first-time writer. Thought I'd finally drop you a line after hearing Marco diss us Kiwis a couple of weeks back. So here I am to represent for Aotearoa. That's the Maori name for New Zealand. I've been listening to your podcast for some time and a patron since 2022. So I think New Zealand is outdoing Australia on the support front. I think the Comics Pals is the best podcast around. No shade on the others. Just yours is a good mix of insight, conversation, and fun. I think you get the mix of criticism, positivity, and passion just right, and it's a great listen every week or twice a week. You have pretty much been my guides to discovering new comics for the past few years from the other side of the world. So thanks again, Kale, Marco, Sean, Tyler, for all the years you've been doing this, and here's to the pals continuing to go from strength to strength over the years. All the best, and remember not to trust Australians. Kakite ano, OGC.
Damn.
First of all, Kale, you did a great job with that one. I'm glad you read that because you clearly know some stuff about that region, and I would have butchered all of those words. So thank you.
I was thrilled to get this and see like actual Maori stuff in it. because it's something I obviously never get to see anymore. So Shane, were you listening when we were doing the show when I lived in New Zealand? This would have been 2017, 2018. It sounds like maybe. That fucking rules.
He knows Pete and Phil, so he must.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh, that's yeah.
Presumably, yeah.
Yeah, so surely
Mhm.
that rules.
Do you miss
hey,
it there,
Marco.
Kel?
Oh God, so much.
It's so pretty. I remember the
Dude, your
views
view
of
was
those stars.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I would genuinely. So the time difference is so much. For us, I think it was around 15 to 16 hours, maybe even like 18. I am very punctual for the show. I really work hard to be on time. Sean puts the Zoom link on. I'm there. The only times I was late when I lived in New Zealand is daylight savings. So twice a year, daylight savings fucked me up so bad because normally I would have to wake up at like 3 a.m. to get up and do the show. And that was like tough. But then like daylight savings would hit and I have to get up at 1 a.m. And it was like one, it was like pulling teeth, but it was also just utter forgetfulness because a lot of people won't know this. Daylight savings is different all around the world. And even here in the UK, it's 2 weeks after the US. Yeah. And it screws me up. And those times were the absolute worst. But I would get up and my window, giant open windows. I got to look out onto a bay that overlooked a mountain that overlooked another bay. I got to watch like planes come in every morning. And then the sunrise. Oh, I would kill to go back to New Zealand. And I'll say this. Kiwis, hotter than Australians.
Ooh, there it is, Shane.
I mean, Australians did lose a war to kangaroos, right? Isn't it like an actual fact?
Well, wasn't it? It's ostriches.
Or was it ostriches? Yeah. It was
Those are
ostriches.
ostriches. Yeah.
Yeah. So if an Australian wants to write in and dispute this, feel free. But I'm just saying, New Zealand didn't lose a war against an animal. A bird that can't even fly. I'm just saying.
We have at least one Australian listener who
that's
was
right.
with us the other day. Yeah. So, step up for your people, all right? Thanks, Shane. Really appreciate it, bud. And appreciate all the support on Patreon. You rock.
And thank you for shitting on Marco. We don't do that enough here.
Apparently not. This next one's from Mike White Robot. It says, hey guys, I have to say I totally agree with you with your stance on the dude's comments being what it is and all the reaction being crazy. This is in reference to one of the episodes we did with the comic book shop owner a few weeks back. However, I had to laugh at your seemingly genuine shock and outrage at people on the internet acting inappropriately, twisting things to serve their personal agendas. I totally agree with everything that you guys said on the show, but am not one bit surprised that people wanted to villainize and crucify somebody because they shared a different opinion to their own. TBH, some of your reactions to the response expecting or even holding on to hope that humans would behave in any other capacity is really quite cute and endearing. I like your show. I hope to watch more and learn more about comics from you guys. Keep up the great work. Looking forward to the next episode. Positivity, baby. Gotta hold out. At least me, I gotta hold out for other people, man. Can't not send love. Can't not just count on the human race until AI takes over. In which case, I'm gonna switch sides.
Wow.
I think I screenshot this and sent it to the pal as soon as I saw the alert come in when I was working. Because I think I don't think any of us were surprised that it happened. I just think that as we do the show, we try to at least make things a little more positive. And
we try and give the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. I mean, I have to fight nihilism constantly. And being pessimistic, but you have to fight that,
You should do what I do and don't
engage in internet social media at all.
Oh no, don't fight the nihilism.
Oh, okay.
Let the world end.
I actually had to listen back because I was like, wow, were we really shocked? And I don't feel like we were. I wasn't shocked. I wasn't surprised. I was angry. Because, you know, I think it's bullshit to argue with someone with ad hominem attacks and, calling them out of their name or just saying things that are not related to the conversation. And, people are way, way, way too comfortable with their mouths and their fingers in the era of Twitter. And, I don't respect that. So I was pretty hot on the deal. And, I thought it was appropriate to call out these people who claim to be on the right side of history and the right side of society, but were very comfortable with tearing down a man for his thoughts and doing it in such a way that was dehumanizing. Because I think when you attack someone's physical appearance, when you attack, things like that, it's dehumanizing and it's completely unnecessary. But thanks for the comment. Hope to see you around more.
And we hope you get more looking to the other side from us. We hope, maybe we hope that rubs off on you a little bit, try and give the benefit of the doubt. Most of the time, assume ignorance as opposed to malice.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's malice, but
assume the ignorance. I'm gonna get this next one from Anthony Coker. Wanted to shout out the book club review on Dark Knight Returns. I read this ages ago, and the analysis all you guys provided was fascinating. Jesus, the insight you pointed out makes me want to dig this book back out and give it a reread. Yeah, glad you had a good time with that one. I think one of the reasons I love the book club is we can get so into the specifics of the craft of potentially, and I think Sean gives a lot of good context into like the history around that and how it provides and therefore informs the creative process there. So yeah, glad you had a lot of fun and that it hopefully gives you a new perspective on something that you've maybe not read in a while, and you can come back and learn something, because that's always the best thing on a reread is I didn't notice there was something else.
I wanted us to tackle this comment because of the fact that I put out a challenge on Pals Polls this week that if you have not listened to our Dark Knight Rises or Dark Knight Returns book club, I challenge you that if you hear it, you will hear something that you didn't know before about the book, or that challenges your thoughts on it and makes you think about something different. I wholeheartedly believe that. So thanks. I'm glad you loved it. And I put that challenge out there. I don't care how much of a well-read person you are as it relates to this book. I think you'll find something new.
We got one last one from 100 Iron Claw. I'm just getting into comics, and while I'm getting some lay of the land, I'm starting to pick up that there are less iconic and more gimmicky, forgettable runs within the big two in the last decade or so. Maybe this is just my sensibilities for how long a story should last, being not yet attuned to comic standards. For a very solid story run like The Court of Owls to last in total only 12 issues is absolutely unforgivable. The concept of The Court of Owls alone, along with Snyder's writing and Capullo's art, could have easily produced a run that lasts for 50 issues. I'm very worried that I've just stepped into the Marvel and DC arena, ready to be transformed, only to maybe find it going largely out of fashion these days. So Snyder, Capullo, they did last a long time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think the confusion here from a new reader is the idea of runs versus arcs.
Yeah.
Because that Court of Owls story does continue it kind of plays in the background for multiple arcs until the end of Snyder's run, which I think was like 50 issues. So like you kind of get what you want there with that story specifically. But yeah, I think you need to look at it more as the full run, which contains multiple arcs. It's not just trades, really. I think if you're looking at like Omnibuy, that's probably a better, if in just terms of looking at books, a better barometer for how big runs are and for full-on stories. Like Incredible Immortal Hulk, Al Ewing's 50 issues, but it's multiple arcs within that run. That being said, long 50-issue runs are few and far between nowadays. So you will not get too many of those, but they're out there.
Yeah, I think the thing is, like, you've got to remember that these books come out monthly. Sometimes they come out bi-weekly. It's hard to crank out a lot of material all at once, like that. And they've got to be produced fast, and they have to be produced fast to the quality that this modern audience demands. So it's hard to get a good long run like that. The other thing is that you also have to remember that comic book sales are fickle. It's audience participation. It's as in buying books. It's also the social media culture war that surrounds it. And I don't say that in any leaning any one way or the other. It's just that there's a massive commentary on one side or the other, and sometimes that affects the sales of these books. And then you have executives that pull the rug one way or the other. So there's a lot that goes into whether or not a run will last a long time. That said, last year, comics had some of the highest numbers they've ever had. And that number keeps going up. And more generations of people are finding comic books. So it's not that they're dying. It's that, I think the superhero genre is maybe thinning in a way that is leading to more and better things on the horizon.
I think that, saying like Court of Owls could have lasted 50 issues. I mean, look, man, that's 4 years, right? If the book comes out monthly, and if it doesn't, Greg Capullo's not drawing it. Like if it comes out bi-weekly or whatever. So, that's just not really realistic for comics. I don't think you would actually want the exact same like concept for 50 issues. Snyder and Capullo get to introduce a lot of different villains. They get to go a lot of different places during their run. I think you wouldn't say this if the run of Snyder and Capullo wasn't like it didn't have those major moments, those standout moments that became big unto themselves. Like Court of Owls is its own thing, but it's a part of a larger story, right? When we talk about Immortal Hulk, we don't separate into arcs. It's 50 issues of comics. That's the run. And so I think you kind of have to look at it from that perspective. As far as, like these being the bad days of comics or whatever, not by any means. They're still great comics. You're new to it, so you don't necessarily know where to look. But I think shows like ours and others, there are other shows that do it, can help you, figure out where the good places are to go. And online, I mean, there's so many resources. So I think you just have to put in a little legwork, put some elbow grease into it, and you will find your tribe and you will find the comics that you will love. They're out there. All right. Let's jump into the news, if you can believe it or not. But we've got very light news. So Marvel is teasing the potential relaunch of the 2099 line of comics. So they celebrated, I mean, they didn't really celebrate, but it happened, 30 years of 2099 in 2022. And, we've gotten like the Spider-Man 2099 stuff from Steve Orlando. We just had the most recent miniseries come to an end. And at the end of that, it features a big image that says coming summer 2024, 2099. I assume Steve Orlando is going to be the, spearhead of this, or one of them, considering that he's been working in the space for some time. I have no comic book connection to 2099 whatsoever. I absolutely adore the design of Spider-Man 2099. It's probably my favorite Spider-Man overall. But I couldn't care less about anything related to 2099 outside of that specific thing, the costume. So this is a huge pass for me, but I know other people love it.
I'll have to see the books that get announced out of this. I think that I'm cautiously curious and like creative teams involved. I don't know why they didn't push 2099 more when Spider-Verse was out. The main antagonist of that was Miguel O'Hara. So not having some synergy there is confusing but unsurprising. I would like to see Doom 2099. I think that's an awesome character. I think Ghost Rider 2099 is really cool. Even Punisher 2099 are some really cool characters, both in design and concept. Like Ghost Rider 2099 is like a techno spirit thing. It's weird, and especially with the added interest with this whole like cyberpunk game, and like the idea of cyberpunk is pretty pertinent in pop culture right now. Having a whole world where it's that and they lean into that could be cool if they have the right teams on it.
I'm trying to figure out this quote, Sean, where he's talking about the stuff like Exodus and Dark Genesis. Is that the stuff that's come before?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think those are the 2099 crossover events.
Yeah, those are the other minis that they did and the stuff that they worked on. Yeah, I mean, this just isn't for me. This feels like more like nostalgia bait stuff. And, I could do without all that. If they're planning on making this a fully fledged universe, okay. But if that's not the case and it's just more nostalgia bait, which it feels like it is, I'm good on that personally. Steve Orlando's not my favorite. And yeah, I mean, hey, but for whoever this is for, that's why we're talking about it.
And this is just the Miguel O'Hara of it all, right? Not necessarily wanting a larger, like ultimately going to spin out into a larger return, because we only got the superior stuff, and it's just gonna be that.
Superior?
Remember, it's the new Superior Spider-Man relaunch thing that they received.
Oh, yeah.
So is it just like a focus on those things, or because that's not spilling out into anything else?
So, with this, what it looks like to me is they're in the summer, they're going to do some kind of, whether it maybe not like a line wide event, but a relaunch of 2099 in some capacity, probably utilizing all of the characters that they've been introducing recently to 2099. And I could see a couple of books being, like maybe 3 books being put out regularly involving these characters.
We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Open to it.
Well, let's talk about something that I unfortunately am not as open to, as Marco is to 2099, and that is Ultimate X-Men. Peach Momoko's Ultimate X-Men. Now that got a trailer this week, I think, which was pretty cool. I don't know if you guys caught it. I liked it. I love when Marvel does these trailers. I've been a fan of them since Civil War. But we also got some key information via the trailer and announcements and an interview that Peach Momoko did for with I think it was AIPT Comics. So this is what Peach had to say about joining the project. Quote, "At first, I was worried about being chosen for such an important project, but the more I draw and write the series, the more confident I am with my own vision of Ultimate X-Men. Ultimate X-Men isn't directly influenced by classic X-Men stories. I like to believe C.B. Cebulski and Jonathan Hickman chose me because they wanted something completely new and different. This will feature May Storm, who is a character that was created entirely for a variant cover for the New Champions. Well, it was a variant cover for X-Men, but it was a New Champions branded cover. and a bunch of artists did them, and they created their own like sidekicks for major characters. And so Maystorm is like the sidekick of Storm, and she will be
Huh.
one of the featured characters in Ultimate X-Men. So far, we've really only seen Armor and Maystorm, as far as I know.
It's a good ass trailer.
Yeah, the visuals alone, and from like a style perspective and an aesthetic perspective, Peach Momoko hits the mark on everything. It's a little bit manga, it's watercolor. There's texture to her things, thin lines, all the things that just for me hit the mark. And of the stuff that she did, I'm forgetting the titling, but the other X-Men pieces of the past that she had done released, I
Demon
enjoyed.
Days.
Yes, Demon Days.
Oh, is that X-Men? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it was X-Men, but like in feudal Japan, and
Oh,
the ways that she would design characters and the way that she would even pit old characters together for certain things was genius. I loved it. I had so much fun. It was engaging. The only frustrating part was the numbering. Every issue was a new number one, and it was like Demon Days X whatever happened number one.
Right,
Then
right,
the next
right.
one was, and that became hard to follow. But off the back of that, it's exciting to see that she's going to come playing this world again that is technically outside of the mainstay Marvel things and is now kind of for a new generation, especially the way that the Ultimate stuff has been kind of building. It's not the same of as the previous versions of Ultimate, and so this is something net new. I'm incredibly excited for it.
I'm beyond unexcited. And I think while the trailer was cool, I don't see a reason to make this an X-Men comic if it's just Peach Momoko's, hey, I'm going to do whatever I want because I don't care about these characters. That's not interesting to me at all. It doesn't feel congruent with what Hickman has done so far. And there are so many X-Men that people love and adore. It feels weird to put that franchise in the hands of somebody that wants to tell stories about Armor and a character that they created for a random cover. I'm not saying that to say that there won't be any other X-Men. I'm sure they will. There will. But on its face, as of now, this is something that I just don't get it. I really don't.
The
I,
blurb.
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to say she doesn't care about the characters. Because we don't know that. We'll see. What's in this, and I think the world that Hickman sets up, being really faction based, but it is clearly delineated by a map and who controls what. And this being in like the Japan sector of that will help world build things, I think. Because I think it's really integral to where this Ultimate Universe is going. So I see that point of it. And just from personally speaking, I really like Peach Momoko's art. It's one of my favorites. And I'm not too familiar with her writing. I didn't read a lot of the Demon Day stuff. I flipped through. I think there was a Venom one, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. I scrolled through that and it looked good. It looks like traditional Japanese like tapestry art, which I really like. And I'm curious to see a wildly different point of view in the Ultimate Universe because that's still fledgling. It even though it's X-Men, I don't think Ultimate X-Men ever really worked properly.
What?
It felt weird to me
Ultimate
because they were
X-Men was
trying
the
to.
shit.
I didn't care much for it. I thought the way they did mutants was weird, and then they did what Ultimate X, which tried to rewrite that. It confused me. I didn't care much for it. So I like the idea of something wildly different being done.
The blurb that mentions, just wanting to be a teenage girl living a normal life. This feels a little slice of life as well, which again, my jam. So it's hitting all my markers, and now it comes down to execution, and I trust Peach Momoko's execution at this point.
I feel like the only reason this book exists is because Peach Momoko sells and no other reason. And that's very disappointing.
I feel like it's most comics though.
No, it's really not though, because Jonathan Hickman's vision is something that they have been able to build on the back of, and it's been extremely successful, and his creative stories have really connected with people. Peach Momoko's variant covers have connected with people a ton, and people love her art, and I got no problem with that. But from a writing standpoint, is this the person that we want to spearhead the X-Men in the Ultimate Universe? I don't get it.
I mean, we still don't know what the X-Men in the Ultimate Universe is going to be.
Exactly. And I think that's weird.
I mean, we don't even know what the Ultimate Universe is yet. So I don't know. For me, the overall Ultimate Universe, it's not a hit. So I don't know if this is cool. It's cool.
Well, either way, we'll be reading it. So if you want to hear our thoughts, you can definitely come. What is it, March? I think this drops.
Yeah.
Yeah. So come March.
I will add one thing. It is a little weird to make the Storm of this universe white or seemingly white. I don't mean she might be Japanese.
Well, we don't know that this is the Storm of this universe. Her name is
Sure,
Storm,
yeah,
but that's all we know.
It could be Storm could still exist. They might, yeah. But I thought that was like, oh, okay, all right, we'll see.
Yeah, I got no love for this whatsoever. I really don't. But what I do love is a game. Everybody loves a good game, right? And you all helped us get to our likes goal, which means that we get to play a game. And hopefully, depending on what game it is, well, actually, all of them can include you, dear listener. So we are going to spin a wheel. Tyler's going to spin the wheel, and that is going to determine what game we're going to play. We've got games ready to go. So wherever it lands, we're going to jump right into it. So Tyler, why don't you spin that wheel for us, bud?
You got it. So coming up on Name That Game, we have Two Truths, One Lie.
Oh, okay.
Been a while for that one.
I was hoping that it would land here. That's fun. All right. So it's a very, very, very simple game. I'm going to tell you 3 different things. And one of the things that I say, one of the stories that I tell you is a lie. All of them are based on comics, and they're all based in truth. I'll say that. So, and I'll say nothing more. So here we go. All right. Haven't done one of these in a while. Here we go. All right. So the first one is Superman and Big Barda filmed a porn. Sounds crazy, right? Those are words I never expected to say. A 1987 issue of Action Comics features a very convoluted storyline in which Darkseid gives Mr. Miracle a videotape that features Big Barda dancing provocatively. Cut to a mind-controlled Big Barda and Superman being forced by a villain named Sleaze to film a sex tape. Mr. Miracle crashes the production just in time to watch Superman and Barda share a passionate kiss. Defeated, Sleaze blows himself up, leaving the heroes to awkwardly agree to never discuss or recall what they were made to do.
What? Okay.
All right. Next we have Jubilee was originally meant to die in one of her early appearances. Jubilee is one of the more popular characters created during the Chris Claremont era of X-Men stories, being a part of the Cyclops-led Team Blue and serving as the point-of-view character in X-Men the Animated Series. She almost didn't last long enough as a character to make her animated series debut, though, as Claremont revealed in a 2007 interview with CBR that he initially intended to kill her off relatively early on. During an encounter with the Reavers, Jubilee was set to die at the hands of Lady Deathstrike, furthering the blood feud between her and her former flame and protector of Jubilee, Wolverine. Ultimately, Claremont decided to keep her around as he thought she could serve as an important role as the young newcomer character the X-Men hadn't had since Kitty Pryde, and he simply found Jubilee fun to write. Last up, we have Magneto wasn't originally a Jewish Holocaust survivor. Magneto is the ultimate enemy of the X-Men, a mutant supremacist who wants nothing more than to see Homo sapiens live under the heel of mutant kind. Magneto's motivations were shallow and remained that way until 1981, when Chris Claremont introduced the idea that Magneto was actually a Holocaust survivor. That's right. Magneto has not always had the Jewish heritage that is so integral to his character now. In fact, he hasn't even officially, canonically been portrayed to be Jewish until Magneto Testament in 2009. So those are the three stories. You guys tell me which one is true and which one is a lie. If you know the answer for a fact, do not say it.
I'm pretty sure I know the answer for a fact.
Okay.
I know for a fact the Big Barda one is true.
You would.
I have a folder in my phone of comic book panels out of context, and there are multiple panels from that I have. I'm pretty sure the lie is the Jubilee one. I feel like that's Kitty Pryde instead.
Interesting.
I think the lie might be the Magneto one. No, I think that one's true. So I think it's the Jubilee one.
No, I think the lie is the Magneto piece. I think there was a time where that wasn't the backstory and the origin, but I don't think it was 1981. That seems way too late to be able to establish such a character, especially considering the 60s, like 20 years.
So you think the lie is the dating, not the overall question that's being held up?
Right,
okay.
right. I think it's the dates.
It's very, very much like actually from Game Jam, from Dropout TV.
Actually, yeah.
Like a very minuscule thing.
See, the date actually makes sense to me because there was a big gap between Stan Lee's X-Men and then the Uncanny stuff, which would really focus on making the X-Men more of a cultural presence.
Yeah.
You know, a worldwide presence with different beliefs and races and, you know, nationalities. So that one makes sense to me.
It was reprints for like over a decade.
Yeah.
Of X-Men books. Yeah.
And Kitty Pryde, I think one of the first during that Claremont run was one of the first to be, I guess, maybe not openly Jewish, but maybe I messed up. I'm sticking by it.
All right, so your answer is what, Marco?
My answer is the lie is Magneto, Barda, and Superman's true. Jubilee is true.
Okay. Tyler, you said Jubilee is a lie, and Kale, you also said that?
Yeah.
All right, and I've got a poll up now, and we'll see how that plays out. So this was a lot of fun to put together, actually. This is one of the harder things to do just because I have to figure out a way to present you guys something that is not true as if it is. So, you know, you have to like take pieces of things that are true or, you know, things that might be true somewhere else and make them work. And so I'll give the answer. I will give the answer now. Well, I don't want to give it while the poll's still going. Whatever. I'll give the answer. Who cares? The answer actually is that Marco is completely wrong.
Oh, the confidence. Oh,
That's what you wanted, Sean. That's what you wanted. That's the reaction you want.
Yeah, it was.
But does that make Tyler and Kale correct? In this case, yes, it does. Chris Claremont had no intentions that I'm aware of that Jubilee was supposed to die in the first season. Her first, you know, at bat. I took that actually from the true story about Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad.
Oh, okay.
Sweet.
Never seen it.
Oh, well, there you go. Spoiler alert, he don't die in season 1.
I did see season 1. Yeah, okay.
Well, there you go. So it seems the chat was on to me also because a majority of you voted for Jubilee. So fair enough. I was blown away by the other two truths. I thought that those were so ridiculous. Magneto freaked me out. The fact that that his Jewish heritage and Holocaust survivor, none of that was created by Stan Lee at all. Claremont felt that because Magneto was irrelevant and he felt like Magneto should be the big villain, but he was thin. He didn't have much going on. And so, like Claremont did with so many of the other X-Men, and characters in their world, he started to pepper in bits and pieces of what he wanted their heritage to be. And fun fact, Claremont himself was Jewish.
Yeah.
So he took a lot of that stuff and added it to Magneto, but Marvel wasn't that keen on actually explicitly saying what Magneto was. That is why the Romani aspect of his and Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver's heritage exists.
Oh, that was more acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting.
Which is a very funny thing to think.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it
'Cause-
took Magneto Testament to finally explicitly say what Claremont established as true in the 80s.
Right. And I'm remembering that now. The big thing was during those early X-Men books was Romani. Like that was his whole like part of his character, where he was from, why he had, did he have an accent? I don't think he had an accent, but just like there was a vernacular I think that he used that. Wow, okay, cool. That's good shit.
And to the other story about Barda and Superman in a porn, that's just what happened. They got mind controlled and they did a video, and for some reason Darkseid decided to cut Mr. Miracle out and show him the footage. And hilarity ensued. I haven't read the book. I'm sure it was a lot of fun, but bizarre.
Did you know what
I
issue
have a-
that was?
Sorry?
You know what issue that was?
I had it, but I don't right now. Sorry.
Okay.
A lot of people in the chat are saying that's John Byrne, and especially
It was
toward
Byrne.
his stuff, especially toward the 90s, is pretty wacky. He has a panel, I don't know, it's famous by now, but in the Fantastic Four, where a very clearly 40-year-old Reed Richards looks down at a 8-year-old Sue Storm and says, "This child's gonna be my wife someday." It's, sorry.
Bizarre.
Also in my folder with out of context comic panels.
Maybe we should bring that out, your folder, and see.
Oh, it's got some good ones in there. A lot of Donald Duck comic book panels, actually.
We might have to make use of that if it's funny. Atomic Count says 586 is the issue, so I would trust his word. He's probably read it.
Probably got it.
Probably has it. Absolutely. Thank you guys for playing. That was fun, huh? Oh, now I have to generate another one.
That was a good one.
Awesome. So we'll bring the wheel back next week, of course. Thank you for sticking it out with us on this extended episode of the Comics Pals. I did not think that the tier list would take so long, but I had a good time, and hopefully you did too. Patreon.com is where you can support us best and most. So head on over there if you would like. Remember that now you, no matter what your status with us on Patreon is, can nominate books for the book club poll. So that takes place over there. Thank you to our channel members. If you would like to join us on that front, click the join button on our page on this video that you're watching right now. If you're watching this live, if you're listening to us on a podcast hosting platform, write in. I want to hear from you. I love it. I love lurkers. I'm a lurker. I am not what you see, what I do. I don't do this outside of this. I put all my energy for talking and fun shit right here. And then when this is over, I don't exist as it relates to like just talking shit about comics or whatever. I don't do all that.
Same.
So thank you. Follow us on social. We got to get to 1,000 subs. What's going on with that on social? 1,000 followers. Follow us everywhere. Social media, X, Instagram, wherever the fuck. I don't know. Follow us.
Instagram's heating up, I feel.
Yeah. You've been doing great. You've been doing great on the Instagram. The TikTok is bussing. Everything's bussing here our way on the Comics Pals. And it's all because of you guys. Thank you so much. We will see you. Next time we'll be live is Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern for Pals Polls. But then next Saturday, Philip Kennedy Johnson, be here, 10:15 a.m. We will see you then. Until then, take care, guys.